following is a special presentation. From the Captain Esports Network.
This isn't just a game. This is iRacing. Final week before the playoffs begin, or the final week off, I should say, before the playoffs begin. And the anticipation is on now as we get set for the final stretch run of this Sim500 NC811.org Cup Series season. As we come to you from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and for the first time ever, the Captain Esports Network and Sim500 race under the lights here at the 1.54 mile oval. Just to the south and west of downtown Atlanta. We are ready to do some super speedway racing on this track as you see them just completely obliterate themselves in practice. It is race number 23 of the Sim500 NC811.org Cup Series season. I am the captain. We welcome you in on this Monday night. Honored as always to be joined by Mr. Kevin England as he joins us each and every Monday night for racing here. And tonight, Kevin, another wild card race. It seems like we've had a stretch of wild card events going back to Michigan, coming to Daytona 2 weeks ago. Now we're in Atlanta. Another super speedway race. Another chance for people to take advantage of some mishaps of others, and a chance for somebody to really put a hurting on themselves when it comes to their playoff chances here tonight. And we'll hear from Kevin here momentarily. Obviously tonight, a chance for drivers, as mentioned there. You know, you've got their chance to get out there on the board and put up a good lap and get a good qualifying effort. And then they get out there on the track and run this race. You got to survive the big one. You got to survive pit stops, potentially green flag runs. There's so many different elements here in this race that we have to look forward to here. Now, qualifying is going to be coming up here in just a moment, presented by 811, of course, as always. And I think that is going to set up this track that I think is going to have the most grip it has had in a very long time, especially with this thing being under the lights. I think that's going to make this very tricky here in this race. Let's see if we got Kevin back here. Yeah, buddy, you got you? I think we lost Kevin. Yeah, that he's over there talking to himself, which sometimes happens. And yes, the button is on over here for those who are curious. Now let's take a look at the point standings here as we get ready to go racing. Kevin King, of course, leads. He's been taking a little bit of a vacation time here mid-season as he leads by 156 over Mike Kelly, who's back from his little time off. Tyler Dalton, third in points. Chad Coleman, Jose Gonzalez, there, top five. Of course, you go down to the 20th position. That is where the rest of the field comes into play here, because you've got 10 points separating 20th from 21st. You've got another 2 back to 22nd. Then it's 12 back to 23rd and 24th. And so you've got about 5 guys here within roughly 50 points of each other that can get up there in that top 20 position. Now, the drop weeks, of course, have all been included. That's where you see the races counted at 18. Now, anybody who has more than 4 races missed, see Rod Minton or Joe Hudson. Those guys not eligible for the playoffs. You cannot miss more than 4 races and be eligible for the playoffs here. So that's going to play a role as we get closer to week number 26 here on the season. But as you see, it's been the Kevin King show up there at the top, but this middle of the field could definitely get thrown into a Yahtzee bottle and shaken up a little bit. And we'll have to see here what happens. Because, again, qualifying coming up momentarily, that's going to be a big-time key here when it's all said and done. Now, I went back and tried to look at some of the stats from Atlanta, and unfortunately in the SimRacer Hub app, they still have the Atlantas together. So it still has, like, the old Atlanta and new Atlanta starts combined. So it's kind of tricky to be able to see who's going to run well at this track tonight. But I guess you go back to who drafts well. That's where you look at the Kevin DeBrowns, you look at the Eric Arnolds, you look at the Anthony Calantonis, the Wesley Donaldsons, the Fullers. Those guys who have been up there at the front when it comes to these super speedway races and have put themselves in position to win races, those are going to be the guys you want to watch here this evening. So, needless to say, I think we're in for a wild show here tonight. I don't remember if it was the Cup Series in particularly, but I know there's been some series in the past where cars have, we've had a chance to get green flag pit stops, and in the end, a big wreck would happen, and so on and so forth. We'll see if apparently Kevin's not hearing me or something here. So we'll work on these technical issues here in just a moment. I think I might know what's going on. So let me do this really quickly as I keep talking. We'll get Kevin in here in a minute. So sometimes I just have to update my Discord. But we'll see what transpires here momentarily as cars are going to get out here on track right now for qualifying. And as per always, qualifying here is presented by 811. Know it's below and call before you dig. As we'll get cars out here onto the track, and let's see if we get Kevin in here this time around. I know. Let me jump into the Discord here, and let's see if we got him here. There's Kevin. You got me, bud?
Yes, I do.
Sometimes just an update to Discord will fix that. So, but man, I was just asking, obviously, a little bit ago, the wild card here at Atlanta. Third straight race you could technically call a wild card. It's going to be a crazy one this evening.
Yeah, no doubt. I've run this racetrack this week, and the one word I will use is unpredictable.
That's a good one.
It is. That's a two-part phrase, meaning there's no way to undo the crash, and predictable. There is nothing predictable about the way the car drives on this racetrack. Just a little touch, such a draft that you get in line, and I'll tell you, the cars are just volatile in the draft. Out there running by yourself, if you could be the leader, you're going to feel really good about things, but back in the middle of the pack, it's going to be bedlam.
Track record here, 31.243. That was done by Tyler Dalton. Right now, 31.43 by Joseph Grijalva on the pole as we ride with Justin Fuller down here into turn 3 and 4. As we mentioned the first time, the track's been lit up, and we've been saying it for years on iRacing. It's like, why does Atlanta not have lights on the sim, even though they do have lights on the track? And they finally gave it to us as Grijalva drops it down to a 29. As Fuller, 22, there's a new track record. 31.22 for Justin Fuller, but there's still plenty of cars to go. Joy Woods at 23, Jose at 24, Robert Fryery at 25. Those are all track records of 43, so the top 7 have broke the record so far. Sorry.
Yeah, expecting these cool temperatures and a very tacky racetrack from the perspective of new pavement to give these guys tons of grip and confidence here running and qualifying.
Let me correct myself. The top 4 have broke the track record, 31.24, as Tommy Bryan just had issues and went into the wall there. Did he get his lap in before he did that? He is, yeah, Tommy is 8th right now, 31.28. So he finished his lap. Fuller still P1 right now. Doy Woods P2 as here's Mons out there on track in his Ancient World Gaming number 41 car. Here is Kevin DeBrown. Now we're on board with him as the cameras just kind of jostle around here. Joey Jatina, 31.27 is 7th. Here's Kevin to the line. You can get down to the apron as he crosses the line. Kevin 15th, 31.84 to a 31.25. And is now P6. I jumped ahead of myself there. Montesi, 29. So everybody, I mean, the top 15 right now, Kevin in the 20s. I mean, laps on top of another.
Yeah, and I think track position is going to make a difference here tonight. If you can get out in front of the mess, I think we're going to see different strategies tonight. Some drivers are going to do the Denny Hamlin. They're going to hang out back and hope that at the end they could do okay with it. Others are going to just run wide open. I have my eye on that 93 car tonight. I think Kevin DeBrown is going to be pretty exciting to watch.
Now, just to kind of explain the schedule here, if you remember all all the way back to February. The race they ran here at this track was the old track, and tonight is the new track. So this is actually the first time in a year that this series has gone back to the new surface here for the race. They did that on purpose. They wanted to run one on one and one race on the other. And originally on the schedule, it was supposed to be as Tyler Dalton, 31:19. Now the pole sitter just ran that lap a second ago. So once again, Tyler doing Tyler things and breaking his own track record now at a 31:19. But it's the first time they've done it this year where they decided to run the old and new track. They were going to run the old track now in the new track at the beginning of the season. And then they decided, you know what, let's put the wild card towards the playoffs. So they flipped it around. And that old race, if you remember, that was the one where Wesley Donaldson passed both Parker and King coming to the line because they literally beat the tar out of each other through 3 and 4. So we could be in line for something again tonight like this.
I'm counting on it. I really am. I think it's going to be that kind of race tonight.
I agree 100%. So we'll see what happens. Appreciate the viewers here hanging out, but we're going to, let's see what we got on track here before I just jump to the national anthem here. I know we're going to have the warm-up too also, as, yep, looks like it's all over with. So Tyler Dalton will win the pole. I believe we're probably still going to have an extended pre-race show here. So let's talk to Tyler and see what he thinks here tonight, because he was giving me some, we were talking a little bit about some things here before practice wrapped up and stuff. So let's get him up here and talk to him about another pole here in the series here tonight. Tyler, obviously, congratulations running a 19 and getting your pole by, 5/100ths, beating your track record out there here tonight. But obviously, the first time we've seen lights at Atlanta here on iRacing. You going to feel any difference?
In qualifying, no. It's going to have more grip during the race. But yeah, I'm pretty proud of qualifying here. I've yet to lose a pole at this new version of Atlanta, even though I hate the track. So at least it's something I can look forward to. But not my favorite track to race at. I prefer the old Atlanta a lot more. But tonight, I'd rather be up front than mid-pack or in the back because it's hard to go anywhere with the side draft.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much is track position going to play a role tonight with the extra side draft and stuff that these cars have?
I would think it's going to be huge because in the trucks and Xfinity, you can go 3 wide and make it work, but just getting side by side in these cars really bog you down. And if you get 3 wide, it just you aren't going anywhere. Plus, these cars are a little bit wider, so it's harder to make 3 wide work here in this particular car. I'm sure that we'll manage it a few times, but it's not near as easy as the trucks or Xfinity.
All right, man. Well, best of luck here tonight. Congrats on the pole, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Tyler Dalton on the pole here tonight. So we'll move him back to his channel. He's already been moved. As, yep, we get the extended warm-up. I always get nervous because I'm like, did they do it? Did they not? I never know until it flips to the race, and I'm like, oops, I didn't get to do the anthem. That's not good. But, yeah, Kev, so obviously he talks about the side draft here. The reason why this race could be so much different than what we're used to is you got a track that doesn't have a sun beaming down on it. So we've got a track that has maximum grip. So you've got cars that handling might not play so much of a role. So does that make this race more aggressive? Does that make this race more of a got to be careful because you don't want to be the one that takes everybody out? Does this make it a I mean, what does it do different here?
It's unlike anything that you race because of the fact that it's like a super speedway. It runs like a super speedway, yet the confines of it, and he just talked about it, the narrow racetrack makes it a different dynamic than, say, a Daytona or a Talladega. One of the challenges that these drivers are going to have is grip.
Right.
In the beginning, when they go out on brand new tires, these
Mhm.
cars are going to feel like slot cars. They're going to run great. They can run wide open, but eventually, as the run goes on, they're going to have to lift. The car can get loose coming up out of the corner. We'll see drivers lose control. Out of turn 2, we'll see drivers popping the wall if they're not careful. We'll see drivers get such good runs, and much like a race we had just a couple weeks ago, what do you do with the run? Is there a hole for you to use it? Can you dive down low? Are you going to make it 3 wide? And in the guise of racing, I think they'll be cautious in the beginning, but with 20 to go, it's going to be like a WWE match. These guys are just going to go wide open, hit every slot. It should be pandemonium at the end of this race.
Well, before we get to that pandemonium and stuff, let's go trackside. It's got about a minute to go before the race here. Let's go trackside for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, anthem is in the books. As we got 34 cars lining up here on the grid as we get ready to go racing for 140 laps tonight. Officially the longest distanced Atlanta Motor Speedway race. Well, officially, we'll call it. There's a reason. I'll talk about that in history here in just a second. But first, the starting lineup here from Hot Atlanta. As if I hit the right button, there we go. On the pole is Tyler Dalton as he breaks a track record 31.19 as he outruns Justin Fuller for the pole. Doy Woods and Wesley Donaldson in row 2. Remember Wesley with a few Daytona wins earlier this season. EJ O'Rourke's got some super speedway wins. Jose Gonzalez there on the outside. Nelson Rivera, Robert Friary III be in row 4. Kevin Brown, that's Kevin picked Kevin there to be one of the aggressors here tonight. I agree with that 100%. So we'll see what he does tonight with Glenn Campbell on his outside. Joey Jatina, Bobby Wetzel there in row number 6. Row 7, Eric Arnold and Chad Coleman, who, by the way, became the first driver in Sim500 to accomplish a stat. And what is that stat? I'll share in a few minutes. It's one that I was like, whoa, when I saw it. Tommy Ryan and Kevin Stone. That's called a cliffhanger, by the way. Row 8, row 9, Petra Colby and Mike Montesi. Ryan Murphy in the Kyle Busch M&M's car. We'll start next to Justin Mons, Joseph Gershova, Jeff Ryan, David Comstock, Charles Van Schaik there in the 12th row. Row 13 is David Comstock, who won the race here last season with Charles Van Schaik. As mentioned, Scott Simley, Seth Foudy, Mike Kelly, Josh Parker, Jose Medina, Randy Yoakum. Of course, Parker, by the way, won the Daytona race last week or 2 weeks ago. Doug Simon, Brian Wortman, Mark Schrader, Gerald Livingston. Race information here tonight. 140 laps, 3 sets of tires, 2 overtimes, and the usual iRacing default weather. And if you're looking for some league information, make sure you check out sim500.com. As we get ready to rock and roll this evening, Chad Coleman, the first driver in the Cup Series era to complete 250 starts as he makes start number 252 here tonight on the Cup side. There you go. First driver with 250 Cup Series starts as we come to his home track of Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's race number 23, going green. Super Speedway under the lights. Hybrid style. Yeah, Fuller's going to lead lap 1 but not by much. Wesley Donaldson, as you mentioned up there, Jose Gonzalez, Tyler Dalton. Jose, as I mentioned, that outside lane already starting to train up a little bit, seeing the inside lane train up, and seeing that usual cast of characters back there. Kevin just kind of hanging out. They think something might brew up here really quickly.
I think it's kind of a different play, though, Chris. It's difficult to drive through. The lanes are occupied. The cars do have a lot of draft, but it is really kind of a challenge to drive through the field, unlike a Talladega or a Daytona, where you feel like make the right moves and you could get your way up to the top 10. It's hard to pass here.
It is tough to pass because it's such a tight, I say a tight track, but when you think about it logically, this track is actually the same width as Daytona. However, when it's a mile and a half, you don't have much room to get the draft down the straightaway and so on and so forth, so the runs aren't as big. As you see Fuller continuing to lead on that top side with Wesley Donaldson, Jose Gonzalez is back there, Robert Friery, and others here. Now, last season in this race, Kev, I tell you this, and I hope I don't jinx this by saying this, but you know what? Sometimes it just happens in life, but I put the facts out there. This race only had 2 cautions in 130 laps, and I believe this was the race last season where I kind of mentioned it. They tried to do a green flag pit stop and realized coming off turn 4 with a pack behind you is never a good thing.
Yeah, this is a tricky pit road to get to. You really have to get down to a lower speed coming off of the racetrack from what you're doing now in the backstretch, 190 miles an hour going into turn 3. You almost have to lift into turn 3 in order to get down to the 45 mile an hour. Pit speed is 2 by 2 by 2. Nobody's singling out here. Everybody just content to ride in line. You can see the space between the lanes. Nobody's side drafting. There's a car length in between. Everybody just kind of pacing, and I want you to take note of the space before and after each of the cars and how it will tighten up as the race goes on. Looking at the Trans-Service Camaro of Glenn Campbell, started 10th, currently running in 9th. Good qualifying run for Glenn. And interested to see how Glenn attacks this race.
Yeah, Glenn, he's one that can put himself up there right now. As you see a new car in the outside lane leading that pack, that's Doy Woods in the 00 Haviland car. But, yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a kind of a rough year for Glenn. But Glenn, you remember, went to victory lane in Vegas last season, so he's definitely has what it takes to go to victory lane here tonight. But I think out of all the super speedway races, I think this is the one you look at as you need a little bit of luck to go to victory lane in a race like this. See Brian Wortman, for example, in the Truck Series a couple seasons ago in the wintertime when he went to victory lane after coming off turn 4 8th. So sometimes a little bit in the luck bank will help you, but to a point of a lot of drivers, I think you look at you create your own luck out there on the track by how you run and stuff. And I think that these guys running up front here early, if they can keep it clean, are setting themselves up to have that luck, if you will, Kev, where you could also argue that the guys back here 3.5 seconds back, Charles Van Schaik and Seth Foudy and Simley and Kelly and these guys back here might be setting up their luck by however the results go throughout this race.
Yeah, you get a little nervous. I know the field is split in half already. I'm kind of surprised that happened so early. And when you're running in that second pack, you get that mentality of like, okay, let's get in line. Let's see if we can make sure that we can run that top pack down and stay in pace. And when you start to slip back a little bit, you wonder whether you made the wrong decision. Every once in a while, though, you glance out the windshield to the left as going around the corner and see those cars side by side in the front. You know, sooner or later, something's going to happen and you'll reset. So a lot of different mind games being played.
I agree 100%. And that's, again, part of putting yourself in the right position now. I've been told you can do about 65 to 68 laps on a tank of fuel in this car. Let's do some math real quick. Kev, give me 140 divided by 2.
70.
I just said 65 to 68, did I not?
Yes, you did.
I'm just checking my math here for a second. We'll let everybody else figure out the common sense of that line I just said. So it could be
And you
interesting.
can save a little fuel here by just lifting out if you're in this group. And now I start to see these drivers hitting that single top line, and I suspect that one of the reasons they do that is to get themselves into fuel-saving mode.
Well, I think the handling also is now coming into play a little bit here because you're 12 laps in, tires are going to start to wear. And what line do you not have to turn the wheel as much and you make the track wider? The high groove. And that's what I think you might be starting to see here as maybe handling coming into play for that low line just a little bit here. So you got Joy now leading that train, but obviously, I mean, this is the thing that is unknown is, again, we're 13 laps into a race. We've got 23 cars in a draft on a 1.5-mile track under the lights. So really, what kind of grip, what kind of draft are we feeling? I mean, was NIS under the lights last night?
No.
No, so obviously there's no telling. This is a big wild card then. As Campbell, a little blinking fluid.
Yeah, I think what some of these drivers are also going to test is what kind of run am I getting? Where am I getting the run? Where are they coming? How's the car feel? Do I have to lift entering the corner yet? These drivers are writing the notebook, right? Because to your point, they haven't done this a lot. It's a new track configuration. A lot of different things are weird. Look at the green fence. That's just something you have to get used to as you're going down. And, you know, as you look out the windshield here, looking at some of these cars that are the same color as the fence, that will mess with you too. Yeah, it's just, we were commenting earlier about all the black cars too, and how black the surface is. Just sights, sounds, the way the cars move, and that shot out the windshield is one of the more interesting ones because you think they're just kind of riding. Look how much left, right these cars move, especially in the draft. We talk about dirty air as you get back in the pack. I tell you, the cars are a handful back there.
Yeah, as you get back here, the dirty air, as you mentioned, kind of plays a role with the way these cars work. And you see already, I saw speeds up to almost 190 miles an hour in a turn one, which is pretty fast here for Atlanta in this draft here, riding on board with the Ancient World Gaming number 41 Justin Mons here. But yeah, I mean, the way the aero's working right now, you get the cars around you, the side draft is so huge. There's so many little elements that, you know, can either work for you. As Mons go right up there to the outside wall, you see that right there. Somebody might want to tell Mons to stop watching the stream because sometimes that'll happen. I say that jokingly, but I have caught people watching the stream and they get distracted and all of a sudden they're in the wall or causing a wreck.
Well, what these drivers haven't learned yet is how to push. A lot of them are not doing too much of it, but as we saw in the Real Cup race, if somebody gets one of those sideways wiggles, at the time you're going to find their bumper, you're going to encounter turning somebody sideways inadvertently. They'll be down in the grass on the front straightaway here. I'm watching Justin Fuller. He's given a little tap to Doy Woods as they go around. That's keeping that top line prevailing over the 19 of Tyler Dalton, but he's doing it very judiciously. He's lined up correctly. He's getting a tap from behind. The 91's giving him a little nick. At the end of the straightaway, he bumps him, and then he gets off. But as the race goes on, the question lies, Chris, will they be bumping in the turns? Will they be bumping in the tri-oval? They're going to have to do something in order to keep the pace above the line or below the line.
Well, the first question we need to worry about is what they're going to do with the lap car, because here comes Joey Jatina. The 14 car is going to be the first car to get lapped here. Down the back straightaway. Let's see if he's just going to hold his lane, traditional super speedway style here, but Dalton's going to have to make a decision here on the bottom side with E.J. O'Rourke. If they pick him up or if they just trying to put him to the bottom side here. You just see the outside lane with the run. That's the widest part of the track right here. Everybody giving Joey the room, but you got to be careful to cut down to the bottom side here too early.
And the cars on the high side are going to get squeezed up against the fence. We saw some sparks off the back end of Kevin Stone's number 17 in turn 1 and 2 as they were trying to leave room in the high side.
Everybody so far so good here as we're 20 laps in already, as we've got a pack of about 13 cars now, and then you go back a little bit to a separated kind of group right here now as they get back together as they were kind of rounding up Jatina. And then you go back to Seth Foudy, who is 3.7 seconds back, leading this group with Simley, with Kelly, with Yoakum, with Medina, and Charles Van Schaik, all the way back to Justin Mons, who's now lost a draft in the 41 car. So I don't know what has happened to the 41, but that car obviously must have some heavy damage on it for it to be all of a sudden falling back here in this race as we complete 21 laps.
I have to wonder if that contact was a little harder than we first suspected for the number 41. Could have some wheel damage, and now he's hoping for caution somewhere in the mix so he can take that car back to the attention of the crew. Now, Mike Kelly, that's an interesting story. The Exalta Toyota running back there in the 25th position, just kind of riding, but he's one of those drivers that somewhere in the next X number of laps, preferably before the caution comes or before the pit stops come, is going to want a caution to make sure that he's not falling that far behind.
Yeah, he, I think, is just hanging tight there. I agree with what you're saying. And don't expect, by the way, for those, remember we always joke around. I say it's kind of joking around, but boy, we're being serious too. When we talk about the cars coming to pit road at, say, like lap 40 or splitting this race into thirds or halves or whatever, tonight, I think the strategy is simple. You just go until you cannot go anymore, and then you come to pit road, because the risk of a wreck coming off turn 4 with the way this pit road is tonight, and we talked about this, is going to play havoc. And I think at that point, as you get close to that lap 70 mark, I think you're going to see that second pack of Foudy and those guys. They're already starting to make up time now on the leaders as they go past Doug Sigmund, put him a lap down. I think eventually you'll see this second pack get up there to this front pack so that they have as close a position as possible. You see Simley already putting a boot to the 11 here to get him going. I think the more and more this run goes, by the way, Kev, that's what I'm saying. I think the back row is going to catch that front pack as you see E.J. O'Rourke up to the front now with Nelson Rivera.
Yeah, with the new partner when they moved around Joey Jatina. And by the way, Joey popped back into the middle of that pack. He got absorbed partway through. He's running about the 9th or 10th slot there. And the Doug Sigmund Pro Systems Brakes Camaro hung on the high side. Everybody got by. He's back behind the number 4, running in the 22nd position. That'd be Mike Montesi in the Transervice Camaro. And so right now, should the yellow fall and he's not a part of the caution, it would be Joey Jatina running in the lucky dog position as O'Rourke continues to hold the field at bay at Atlanta as they complete lap number 26.
File this one under the bank of, and this is no disrespect at all to the young man, but something you don't see. Brian Wertman, 29.75, ran the fastest lap of the race last time by. Good for Brian. That's awesome. As he's back there in this second pack, as he just got such a great draft in that 74 car. And he's like, I'll take that purple lap right now, boys.
Yeah, talked with Brian. He was one that was in the camp of thinking there's going to be a big one here that's going to clean out part of the field, and he was willing to risk riding in that second slot in the car that's the same color as the outside fence. And Brian thinks that there is headway to be made later in this race when a lot of drivers got the hammers out and are working on their cars. He's going to sneak around and get himself a top finish.
So what is the story with the green walls, you might ask? Well, you're going to have to wait about 20 seconds for me to explain. So we're going to step away for a second, come back and get you more racing here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. It is Sim500 on the Captain Esports Network.
This tree is going to look great here.
Did you call 811 to protect your underground utilities?
I can't wait to see these roses come up.
Dig, dig, dig! Wait, we forgot to call 811.
Before you dig, make sure you can. Call 811 to know what's below. It's up to all of us to protect the ones we love.
All right, back we are here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 30 laps complete. Still green. E.J. O'Rourke leading. And I left you with a little bit of a Casey Kasem cliffhanger as we were always taught in radio and stuff about why the walls are green. Well, let's go back to Kentucky Speedway. As you remember, Kentucky had the Quaker Steak 400, or State 400. Just mixed it up with the restaurant. Basically, Quaker State was the sponsor on that track, and that's why the walls were green there. Well, Kentucky lost its one race it had left. It got moved back to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the second race of the season. Quaker State then brought the sponsorship with them to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And this race here that is supposed to be run under lights, but it was ran earlier in the daytime yesterday, the Quaker State 400, presented by Walmart. Quaker State's color bottles, green. Hence the green walls. Now, the good thing tonight is we won't have any Walmart banners falling on the track.
I love the ties to the sponsor, and sometimes the event becomes known, like Coca-Cola 600,
Right.
by the title sponsor, and it's not different from naming an NFL stadium or something. There's just something about saying the name in that way. I always like a standing event name. I want to call attention to the number 4, Mike Montesi, currently running in the 22nd position. I was interested to watch he and David Comstock going down off the apron. That's the 28.
I don't think he yelled roll tide going down there, but Patrick Colby knocked to the apron there, and he's going to lose his pack, and hopefully he can get this car back up to speed as the second group catches him. Must have been a bad bump draft or something there to the 28, but we continue green, as you were.
Yeah, just saying, I was trying to see whether or not these drivers could hold on to the back of the draft if they slipped back a little bit. So that 28 bump looked like Grajova changing lanes and not knowing that the 28 was down there. But the Montesi car and the 13 of David Comstock, both of those cars were hanging on to the back, and they had dropped quite a bit, maybe 8-10 car lengths back off the pack, and they were able to run it back down. I was wondering if this was going to result in that gap of them losing that pack. It seems that the draft with these cars running side by side here has created enough of a pull that these drivers don't have to be too fussy about losing the back draft as they move their way around the damage number 41.
Yeah, and I think part of that too also is it gives them a little bit of clean air back there as they're separated from the pack. Clean air, you just run wide open around the track where these guys are all checking up still, and you get more speed and you get that momentum to catch back up to the pack once you get the air. So I think it's a mixture of things, though. I think you're 100% correct there, Joey. And yeah, going back to your comment about sponsors in the race and stuff, I've been one the last few years. I really haven't spoke my mind about it, but I am one that absolutely despises the whole what's the race from Watkins Glen presented by Coca-Cola Sunday at 3 on USA type of thing. Like when I growing up, I was used to that race being either the Bud at the Glen or the whatever go bowling at the Glen or whatever, obviously it is now, but back in the day it was Bud at the Glen, or the Trans-South Financial 400 at Darlington, or the Pepsi 400 at Daytona, now Coke Zero, or the Mountain Dew Southern 5. I remember all those sponsor things, and now it's almost like the race has a sponsor and the broadcast has a sponsor, but you never hear really that reference of like this number 500 unless like it's a promo read or something. Just something that's always I've kind of hated since they've started doing that. But
I've noticed recently though that they've started to use some of the car sponsors. They've been talking about the Monster Energy Sheets Camaro driven by David Comstock, and to me it's Gatorade Victory Lane. It's the Geico Restart Zone. It's just part of the Americana of NASCAR racing, and we are the Sim500 Cup Series sponsored by Call 811, and it just is the way it should be. It's a perfect match.
Which, speaking of perfect match, should we tonight for this series call this the 811 colored walls?
Sure.
I mean, it's green, is it not? I mean, I think it fits perfect. One thing I was watching here, as you were talking, I was watching that 81 Fritos car, the Daytona winner of Josh Parker. He's been peeking to the outside of Robert Friery and trying to maybe get a little bit of run to see if he can make a 3-wide move work here, because he is stuck in his top groove with Doy Woods and Robert Friery as these guys sit back in about the 10th position as we're 40 laps in. But obviously now bottom side is rolling. In the draft here, Chad Coleman up there with Kevin Brown and Wesley Donaldson, Justin Fuller. These guys got to be setting up potentially what is going to be that pit stop here in a few laps, getting themselves in the right position here.
I'll tell you, it's interesting to see the dynamic change. It was the top line dominant race in the first 15 laps, and then when EJ took the helm here, the bottom line just went, and He gets a bad rap sometimes, EJ, at work, but his car control is pretty amazing. And he puts himself in places that others would not dare do, and he does it pretty well. He is rather exciting at times and does get himself into some scrapes, but for the most part, when he's on kill, he's pretty hard to beat, and you can see that right now as he leads the field here at Atlanta.
The interesting part when I see this right here with him leading, and we're kind of got a rear chase view looking back at this pack. EJ normally runs the top groove, and it's kind of weird that he has the groove on the bottom right now rolling. Kind of seems backwards, if you will. You see EJ moving up. I think he's giving Nelson some air there maybe in the 22 car. But yeah, you can just see these cars kind of swaying around. But the one thing this move has done is pushed the second pack back 6 seconds almost now. Seth Foudy is from the lead group. So I talked about earlier trying to get up closer. Now they've gone further back from the pack. So that could be something to watch. But roughly, what about 25 or so laps before we get pit stops here in the very near future. Hey, 40 racewear real quickly. Some of these guys could be doing 40 racewear stuff and putting it on their feet as in shoes, or put it on their hands as in gloves, and wearing the gloves and shoes out here on the track, as the captain does and other people like to do here. As 40 Racewear does some great things for iRacing drivers and so much more. Check out 40racewear.com. In the information down below, you can check that out along with going to the website at 40racewear.com to check out what they have to offer. Don't worry, I will learn to speak English by next week. As we're 45 laps in. Hey, Kev, by the way, did you know the captain has now a shop you can buy things from?
No, I did not, but I think I will head over there.
Well, I was just pointing out for the viewers, too. If you look down in that same information section underneath here on the screen, you will see a link there for the Captain Esports Network's shop that has everything from clothing to hockey jersey to sweaters to beanies to baby clothes to toddler clothes to so much more for you and for others and for everybody to check out now and purchase. So hats and other great stuff. Check out that link, and I'll actually get another one here for the race stream also that you can check out. But right down below the race screen is where you can see the link to the Captain Esports store, officially open now.
That's pretty exciting news. I'm watching this second group. Not only are they losing that first group, they have broken up a little bit. Seems like they've had a little mix-up and change in alignment. The top 4 cars in that second group are broken away. What we know from past history of this racetrack is 2, 3, maybe even 4 cars can work together faster than a line of cars, and we'll have to see whether this group that's broken away here, made of Simley, Van Schaik, Kelly, and Seth Foudy, were going to be the ones to be able to run that first group down. I think one of the things I see, Chris, is we're working lap 47. We said 65.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think these guys are in jeopardy of being lapped by then. And so I think this second group is still okay, and I don't want to jeopardize anything, but there's got to be a caution in the future. They're banking on it.
I mean, they're banking on it, but we're hoping that I would love to see these guys actually be able to make the green flag pit stop. I think that would be kind of phenomenal if they got themselves put into a spot like that, where these guys found a way to if it's single file themselves or something to get themselves on pit road without the issues. But now, logically, do we see it happening? No. But if there is a series that'll pull it off, it's these guys right here. As usually these guys are pretty respectful and can work with each other getting to pit road. But we'll have to see here in the next few minutes here. But EJ doing a great job of controlling that line there at the bottom. Looking at other cars here, you see Parker and those guys, that second lane starting to kind of make way here. But the one thing I have not seen yet tonight, though, Kevin, this has kind of shocked me. I figured by now we would see the cars maybe breaking up a little bit with the draft, but it just has not happened.
Yeah, and I have to wonder if some of the fuel savings strategy is going on. I would believe that somebody like Fuller would want to lead every single lap, but maybe he's content to ride in that 5th position and ease off the throttle some and save some fuel so that he can get to part way. Maybe that's why Doy Woods has moved around to the second car in that back slot and is content on the high line to follow the 81 of Josh Parker there as Kevin DeBrown jumps out of line and goes to the top side.
Yeah, Kevin jumping up there with his friend Josh Parker. As you see, some cars kind of snaking a little bit here, and you see the top three have kind of separated out. Top four now separated out, and that's going to open up the door for Kevin DeBrown to get that run to the outside. Here comes Mr. Excitement, if you will. Kevin jumps to the inside lane. It's because he's going to jump back to the top, get a side draft off the 38. Perfect execution there as he goes through the quad oval, and that's going to pull Coleman back and leave him now with 2 cars to catch here. But that outside line looking awfully organized here as Kevin gets out there trying to side draft some more.
Yeah, in 2 side draft, he's going to take the nose of his car and put it at the door of the car alongside of him. And if he does that, he's dumping the air that's coming off the nose onto the spoiler and drawing the car underneath of him back. And we're starting to see side drafts occur here as drivers on that high line are trying to take control of this race and see if they can move the high line back up in front. And just as we say that, the 22 of Nelson Rivera jumps out of line, goes up to the high side, and he's going to lead him down into turn number 3.
Nelson Rivera to the front, as you mentioned, and he's got the perfect pusher behind him. Kevin DeBrown, who is, he'll push whatever it takes to the front. As, look at, here comes Parker topside. He's like, hey, Mom, what's this? Yeah, he almost cleared it.
Yeah, I think Nelson Rivera, if I'm looking at timing and scoring, was scored with the lead of that lap, but the jump out of line from the 81 pulled that top line back, and that's going to give control back to the bottom line, and now we'll see whether they can mount another run.
That took a lot of Fritos, if you will, to make that move. I mean, I didn't see the run or anything. I just looked up. I was looking at one part of my screen. I look up and I see this yellow flash going across my screen, going 3 wide, and I'm like, wait a minute here. As Parker looked like maybe some contact there, got shuffled up the track a little bit. He's going backwards now.
In the wall, yeah, he might have got a piece of the wall over there.
Oh, now
Yellow.
caution. Ryan Murphy, the M&M's car is spun, turn 2. And before we even had a chance to think about pit stops, here we are, caution. And I think Glenn Campbell might be involved in this also, as he's got some damage in the 44.
Yeah, that was just a checkup of, you know, coming through the field, and the 55, no place to go, got tagged in the back and that sideways on the exit of 2, and we're going to go under caution here for the first time on lap 55.
Let's see how this all transpires. You got Murphy here, as you mentioned, behind Grijalva, just kind of hanging out. Goes into turn 1. There's the Parker move. Going into the corner, and oh yeah, contact right there is. I'll get you a better angle of that really quickly before everybody comes to pit road. I'm pretty sure everybody will be coming to pit road here. There we go.
Yeah, they come through here, and I don't know if the 81 to the high side made drivers drop down to the bottom, but right here you could see that stack up, and 18 got a piece of it. Oh, I didn't see the other car nose into the wall. Who was that?
That was Campbell, and then Murphy, and then it looks like Montesi got some heavy nose damage there too. In the whole ordeal is pit stops happening here. Let's jump down to the track.
I'd imagine they're going to take 4 tires and fuel, although a 2-tire pit stop would not be out of the question here. But you see Tyler taking 4, so you have to believe everybody took 4.
I agree 100% on this one. Yeah, and everybody 4 tires. Nelson Rivera going to win the race off pit road. Kevin Brown second, EJ O'Rourke third, Chad Coleman, and Wesley Donaldson going to be your top 5 here. Well, I think this was the perfect break that the cars needed here. Is having a small wreck only take out 2 or 3 cars here, to allow everybody else to come to pit road now, get the excitement out of the way, and now these guys can go back to the fun racing they've been doing.
The good news for some of the drivers that took a little bit of damage there, long caution laps here at 44 of Glenn Campbell able to get some of that nose damage, and no surprise to see Glenn lose control. His car got down on the apron. When you get on the flat and then come back to the 28 degrees of banking, the car just is not going to remain stable. He hit the outside wall with quite a bit of force, is getting the service done, and now coming back to join the field behind the 81 of Josh Parker is Parker probably had some damage too from being in the outside wall, Chris.
I agree 100% here. His pace car lights are already off. I just actually got a photo on Discord. I was talking about the shop here a little bit ago, the Captain Esports Network shop. Luke Daniels, who races, a good friend of mine, races in some other leagues and stuff. Big time like engineer guy. He's a real smart feller. He bought the whiskey glass that has the logo on it, and he actually took a photo of an adult beverage he is partaking in right now.
Oh, very nice.
I like it. So pretty cool deal there. So, all right. So 60 laps here. Obviously, we still got a stop left, and that's gonna, I think, make things interesting because this goes back to Kev, where I talked earlier about, do you go as far as you can go before pitting? Well, if you're going to do that from here, you're coming up to lap 60, and if we put 60 and let's call it 65 together, you got 5 laps to go in this race. So do you go all the way to 5 laps to go, or are you splitting this run in half and hoping for the best?
I think you smoke him as you got him.
I mean,
you just kind of look how the race plays out. I would go all the way to the end, wondering if a caution is going to occur. Sometimes cautions occur when drivers are going to pit road, and you want to make sure that you don't get lapped.
Yeah.
So,
I agree 100%. Shout out to the viewers watching here tonight from, see, Miss Weeks watching here. Atomic Burrito making a return. Hello to Mr. Burrito here watching tonight. CMR Gaming 28. Let's see, J34 Ever just joined in as we go back green here on lap 58, but appreciate all the viewers. Make sure you share the stream out to your friends and family if you get a chance to, as Rivera and EJ O'Rourke carry them to turn 2. Wesley Donaldson inside lane, Kevin Brown outside lane. Looks a little more organized there. Here's Chad Coleman. Look there, that 31 car sneaking in. Eric Arnold into the pictures. Kevin Brown jumps to the bottom on his buddy EJ O'Rourke.
yeah, there was a drag race to about the middle of the back straightaway, and then DeBrown and the 21 of O'Rourke decided they were going to set the playground. O'Rourke back out in front with the 38 pushing him, and to your point, what a good run for the number 31. He's been in the top 10 hunt all night long here tonight at this racetrack, looking for a win.
Oh yeah, he's good at the super speedway tracks. This Michigan driver in that 31. NASCAR Forever 6611. Hello, sir or ma'am. Appreciate you watching. As always, the work up there in the front. He's got Chad Coleman. Ooh, and Fuller pops the wall there a little bit going into turn 1.
I would hold my breath at this point if I were in that stack, just waiting for someone to slip up. You got one foot hovering over the brake and a downshift lever to try and get yourself done. And this is technically where we talked about not too long ago, which lane do you want to be in? I almost wonder whether the bottom lane is as good at this racetrack to find yourself an exit. If you're in the corner, there's no way you're going to drive down to the apron and hold on to the car. So really, you just want to be as good as you can be at being ready for something to happen and trying to get the car slowed down.
Let me give you a visual of what lane I want to be in. Somewhere about back here, where Josh Parker is right now. Somewhere back here.
I'm with you.
You guys go on up there. And but you know what? I am safe to say that we have the safest place to watch this race. Right up here in the booth where we are. So as Fuller goes to the frontier now, as we're not even halfway yet, and this has been a wild race. Have you been keeping track of lead changes like you normally do, or do you need a new pen?
Yeah, this is 7 or 8 at the line, but around the track it's probably about 30 as we watch these drivers navigate trying to be out front. They change from turn 4 to the front stretch or just about every lap, and that time it was going to be Tommy Ryan leading, which didn't look like he was going to get it, but he was just over Justin Fuller at the stripe. He becomes the 8th different leader here tonight.
I would be lying if I didn't think of the idea of Captain Esports Network pen just now. As I said, you got your pen out.
I think I'll go for the shot glass, my friend.
Right? Hey, coffee glasses too, by the way.
Especially if I were running about top 10 right now. Justin Rivera, who was leading this thing, finds himself riding in that 11th position. And I'm sure that he wouldn't mind an adult beverage here as he rolls out of turn 2 to the back straightaway. And in what we talked about, Bedlam, what I want you to notice now, compared to what we talked about, how tight the cars are. nose to tail, how the top line is coming down and compressing the bottom line, holding them at bay, doing the side draft, how much the cars are moving around in the draft, left, right, like, we talked about one of the best examples is talking about the way the kite moves in the wind, kiting, going down the back straightaway. It's so difficult to push the car in front of you when it's going right, left, and you're hoping you're going to match that middle part of the bumper where the license plate would be.
I start to think now, with a little over 70 laps to go in this race, knowing it's still a one-stopper and there's no more real fuel save if there was such thing going on, I think the racing's picking up now. They know that, we can go now and kind of do our own thing here without a strategy. So that's why I think this is picking up. And for Mr. Burrito suggesting Captain Diapers, no. That's not an option on that website, thankfully. But I will admit, there are swimwear for both guys and girls on there that you can put Captain Esports logos on. So I'll let you take that wherever you want. As old Fuller might put himself in a bad spot here. He went up to try to take the outside lane from Tommy Ryan, and that let the inside line come flowing right through with Eric Arnold. Sometimes it works in the Cup Series in real life, but you got to be so proactive with the move, and Fuller's probably cussing himself out on this one.
Yeah, and that really changed the dynamic of that front stack where they were 2 by 2 all the way back through to about 20th position. Now they're single file, and as soon as I say that, they break out a line.
Coleman got the wall, and somebody else did back a little farther back.
You would think there was 4 laps to go the way they're racing this.
Yeah, the action is picking up here. Is there rain in the area or something I don't know about? There's no rain in iRacing for those curious. Well, there is, just not on ovals. Well, the one thing
just like that, they're 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back to the 13th position and beyond. As those drivers out in the back have kind of spaced themselves out just a little bit, but they're starting to tighten up, and you can go all back to about the 20th position. Everybody's on top of each other.
They about just wrecked. They're still wrecking. They're still trying to wreck. God, that Parker's around.
81 is around. The
Campbell.
44th part in the wall. Yeah, that was inevitable. We saw drivers down on the apron on the entry to the corner. There was no way they were going to get up on the banking safely, and we go back under caution here at lap 70.
Campbell with a very hard lick to the wall there. Second caution. Tommy Ryan got turned. It looked like there. That all started towards the front. I saw Kevin Brown and others like sideways.
Yeah, Nelson Rivera was down on the apron for some reason in the 22. He was even below the line. I'm not sure what forced him there or whether he was taking evasive action.
When you look at the front, you'll see it.
Yeah, the 93 and the 91 got together.
Oh, man.
Yeah, okay. Well, we talked about the gaps and how they had tightened up, and it was inevitable that when they race on top of each other like that, this is the kind of action we're going to see.
We'll come back and show you the replay here in a moment, but leaders are back on pit road. EJ O'Rourke has stayed out. I'm scratching my head right now on that one. Going to be fuel only for all these cars here, as with a little fuel save here, these guys are going to distance. I mean, I don't know how
maybe they feel like there's going to be some additional cautions, and they'll be out in front of that.
Is tire wear as important as track position? That's kind of why I'm thinking here.
I believe tire wear is going to be that big of a deal for them when they went under caution only about 10 laps ago.
Oh, this is interesting here. Let's show the wreck one more again here.
I thought the driver that was in a perilous position was the 26 of Gonzalez, who's 2 cars up in front of here. He just got squeezed as the meat in the sandwich when they were coming through, and somehow kept that car in the right direction. That's the definition of scatter.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that turned into like a 4-car wreck in the end. That could have been a lot worse. So, all right, caution out here for the second time now here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's step away real quick, get another break in as we're past halfway. We'll come back and get you more racing here on the Captain Esports Network.
When do you plan on putting in that new fence we've been talking about since last summer?
I guess I could start tomorrow.
Protect the ones you love and protect your buried utilities by contacting 811 before you dig, either by phone, the web, or the NC811 app. Know what's below before you dig. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, 73 laps complete. Justin Fuller, you see, coming back in with a few other drivers to top off the fuel cell here, coming to the finish of this race. And I think that is what we're looking at here. Is this become a fuel race now? I think wrecks are going to pick up. I hate to say that, but action's going to get more aggressive. And I think that's going to put these guys in a spot where a lot of these cars just made their final pit stop here of the evening without damage, of course, playing a role in this race. And Burrito first calling for the diapers, saying he'll take a polo. Yes, good idea. And what I mean by that, I had to say this, like, there are so many, there's options on this website that we're using, that I'm using from, I could have done Captain Pillows, I could have done blankets, I could have done, like I said, there's swimwear for both guys and for women, obviously, bathing suits of all kinds and stuff. And what else did I see out there? I mean, there's so many different things, but you go look at a website, you'll see magnets, you see coffee cups, whiskey glasses, all different types of things. There's actually a thermal on there too. As we go green, Nelson Rivera not a good start, and Wesley Donaldson's trying to get him going. I wonder if he started in the wrong gear. But EJ O'Rourke stays out and takes the lead of this race as a little bit of a scattered restart here on lap number 74. As look at Eric Arnold, Mr. Aggressive, the push from Doy Woods. Going to go to the front, signs up in front of EJ real quick here as the front four goes single file. EJ, though, not happy with being second. He's going to take the lead back, and here comes Kevin King. Kevin Brown, sorry, 3 wide into turn 1. Doy Woods settling down right there outside lane as the pack comes right on back together here. But appreciate all the viewers hanging out here tonight, including one of my good buddies here in the Fort Wayne area, MC Racing, watching us on the TV monitors there in their building. As I appreciate what Mark does from MC Racing. Make sure you, if you're coming through the Fort Wayne area, heading to a local dirt track or a short track here nearby. If you remember coming through the area, think of the Captain and think of MC Racing, and go in there and check out what he has to offer for sim racers and even those that might be never tempted to do iRacing, but it's like, hey, I wonder what it's like just to get that like sample size. He's got it for you at MC Racing. Make sure you go check it out today. As O'Rourke, Kevin Brown, Chad Coleman up to third, Nelson Rivera and Doy Woods, your top 5. As that's your first side-by-side battle back here at lap
A little
number
bit of a
77.
gap there in the middle of the field, and you see some of those drivers still hanging out in the back like we saw earlier. We go back to the beginning of this race where they split into 2 fields. Mike Kelly still hanging out back. These drivers like Seth Foudy, who was leading that line, I don't think they're convinced that the extracurricular activities are over yet.
Well, and you might think, well, what has Mike Kelly done? Well, Mike Kelly was the Daytona winner earlier this season, so I think he's done something in both the, oh, by the way, Xfinity and Cup car. And then finished second in the July race at Daytona. Or I say July race, the summer race, I think it was last week, or 2 weeks ago. He finished second to Josh Parker.
In the history of super speedway races, you look at names like EJ O'Rourke and yeah, yeah, the ooh.
I was watching Colby wear out the bumper of Doy Woods, and I'm like, he's not going anywhere.
And Kevin DeBrown and Chad Coleman and others, right? They're known to mix it up. They're not going to ride. They are going to race from the drop of the green flag till the time the checkered flag comes. Bring me the steering wheel or bring me the trophy. That's what's going on up in the front line. And you have to know that that often leads to trouble. And if you're somebody like Mike Kelly, you're going to let him get it out of their system.
Let me add
Maybe
another.
you're feeling a little safer riding back there.
Add another name to your list here. Let's look at the 13 car, David Comstock, of course, the winner last season here at the Super Speedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, Wesley Donaldson, Anthony Calantoni, who's not even here tonight. He's another one that can win on these Super Speedways. So there's so many drivers that every week you go to a track like this, they're going to appear up front. They're going to race for it. And that's what you're seeing here tonight is O'Rourke has done a good job for the most part kind of controlling the field here for these last, I would say, 40 or 50 laps of this race.
And there's drivers who are out in the back, like Jeff Ryan in the number 3, the mellow yellow Camaro. You have no idea where he might show up at the end, and you'll say, where did he come from? He's currently running in the 26th position. Make no mistake, if the way this race plays out happens to have a caution late in the race, these guys have a shot at winning.
Oh, you're on the lead lap in Atlanta. You can win this race. It's just such a wild card with what's going to come down to it. I believe there is an actual, we call it yellow line rule, but a blue and red line here at Atlanta for this series. So you cannot actually make a pass to the inside. So let's put that rule also into play here later in this race when it comes to the 2 and 3 wide racing. But needless to say, when the going gets tough, you're going to see the moves happen here. And it's a matter of, can you miss the wreck if it starts up, and can you put yourself in the right position? Just like Mr. Roll Tide up here. There's a couple of Bama boys pushing here. There's Colby pushing Doy Woods out to the front. I'm sure Doy's got a little bit of a smile on his face watching an Alabama car push him to the front. As Doy hails from, I believe, that Talladega, Birmingham area. Somewhere over there.
Yeah, and Doy was out front of this race, lap number 8, and now we're working lap 83, and it goes to show that you play your chess match correctly and you can get yourself back out front. He's getting some pretty decent pushes right now from Patrick Colby, but he's going to abandon the cause and leave Patrick to the high side. I have to wonder, when you think about how aggressive somebody's pushing you, sometimes you just get a little uncomfortable and you decide, well, I need to get out of this relationship.
Oh, EJ had to get out of it there. They almost hooked each other up front. That could have been bad, and Doy with a good job of maintaining. EJ doing a good job being patient here, but something else that just came to my mind too. Patrick Colby in the number 28. The Haviland car, number 28. There's a little bit of a tie there too. A little bit, along with the Alabama thing. So Colby, though, unfortunately falling back down that outside line after Doy moved down. As EJ trying to get back up there. Moves to the top side, just not a good enough run as of right now. So you got about 21 cars in this front pack. And then you go back to the second line with Kelly and Simley and Van Schaik, Seth Foudy, and one other car that has joined this front battle. Remember a lap down a little bit ago? Joey Zatina hanging out here behind Fuller, 19th position.
Yeah, nice recover for the number 14. Sporting a different paint scheme here tonight. And I have to go back to the reverence for Texaco from Doy Woods. My family had a lot to do with the Texaco brand active here in New Jersey for a period of time, and got to talking about that, and Doy discussing his relationship with the teams down there and being directly involved in some respects with that. It goes back to the roots of Davey Allison and others, and it is so cool to see in this day and age that we have not forgotten the heritage.
Eric Arnold got super loose off turn 2 and caught it. I thought they were about to wreck.
Well, I tell you, right there in that mix where Arnold is, where Rajalva is, where the 26 is, that's the Hornet's Nest right there.
I mean, I saw the side of Arnold's car off turn 2, and somehow they did not wreck. I think it's just that transition right there. The back end just got very light, and it turned sideways. That was pretty crazy, but yeah, add more life to your car, take it to the stars, they used to say back in the 90s.
See, this bottom line is getting organized,
Yeah.
and that actually makes an interesting dynamic, because as everybody gets nose to tail, those runs that we talk about, formulate some of those events where somebody checks up and you have to be really careful. And if you could work the top line properly while everybody's on the brakes trying not to run over the car in front of them, the top line can come together, and we see David Comstock starting to make the play to move to the front in the number 13.
And that's just a simple, you're able to stay wide open, and you're carrying so much speed, plus then you get the draft off the car in front of you, and you just start blowing by people. And that's how that Highline's working right now here as we complete lap number 90, 50 laps to go. So the window's open, by the way, for those curious. So they could pit at any moment in this race and make it the rest of the way. But you would think, let's be real here for a second. Obviously, I think the right strategy here is you're going to want to split this thing in half or close to it, or maybe get to like 20 to go. So I would expect the field to come to pit road somewhere in the next 20 to 25 laps. That's my guesstimation. I could be more off than Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels trying to figure out Samson. I was way off. That far off. But I could be right on it too. Who knows?
So you're saying there's a chance.
There you go.
My sense is that they're going to run all the way till they're on fumes. That way, when they go in, the shortest trip to pit road to fill up is going to be the place. It prevents you from getting lapped. It's hard to say how this is going to play, but right now they seem to be, knock on wood, behaving. I don't know. It seems to be a little settled down, but that top line's starting to mount a challenge, and you have to wonder if they all get their run. As you see right behind these four up in the top line, they're about to get some company in the form of Bobby Wetzel. Will that generate the energy to put us side by side and running shoulder to shoulder again here as we approach lap 100?
Yeah, 92 laps going to be in the books this time by as Doy Woods leading that inside line with Kevin DeBrown and Chad Coleman and others. I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to work out. But let me throw a little scenario at you, Kev. If your team name, we'll call it. So if you're back there with Josh Parker, if you're back there with Fuller, if you're back there with Comstock and a few others, do you not make a group of about 4 or 5 cars at the back of the pack there, and you go and come to pit road? We are away from everybody. Oh, Rivera into the infield. Into the wall goes Gonzalez. Forget everything I just said. Holy moly.
13. The 9 is involved.
Forget everything I just said. Caution's out.
I believe the 38 maybe was around. Rivera got a piece of that. That was at least a 7 or 8 car incident over there in turn number 1.
Gonzalez got a real bad rap in that one. It looks like that car's destroyed. Medina's destroyed.
You know, it's interesting. We were working 3 cautions for 6 laps going to lap 100. I would not have guessed that. I didn't want to do the broadcaster's curse, but I had to believe that the time was going to come where these drivers would be on top of each other and we had higher risk. And that was a pretty significant incident over there.
Yeah, it was pretty good right there. I guess I don't have to worry about anything on that the fuel realm anymore. But I was just trying to think outside the box before this happened. Oh, right there, Grijalva gets into Rivera and Comstock. Robert Fryery, add him to the list. Add Kevin Stone, 1 car on its lid. I mean, there was at least 10 cars in this wreck.
And you have to wonder, you think about Comstock, who rode around the back for so long and then finally decided, it's my time to come and play, and look what happens here. 91 got a piece of that.
Kevin Stone with some damage.
It'd be easier to say who wasn't involved, and the absolute important thing to call it here is Mike Kelly is brilliant. Just a savant brilliant.
Doy Woods, Grijalva, Brian Wortman, those guys stay out as Kevin Brown wins the race off pit road. Along with Chad Coleman, Mike Montesi, Tyler Dalton, and others here. I want to go back and show this wreck one more time because I want to get your perspective on this one, Kev, because you got Grijalva's going to get a good run here to the inside of Nelson Rivera. And this is one of those, the dog legs are going to come into play here. And Grijalva's able to stay above the line here. So who does this fall on right here? Because you see Nelson kind of goes up middle lane here. He's still following Chad. Here comes the train of Montesi and stuff. And obviously these guys come together now. From there, it almost looks like, is Grijalva like officially there?
I have to wonder, and if you back that up, I'm curious to see, when the 22 swung out, as he was swinging back, was he scraping the car, you know, holding the it doesn't look evident, but when you're in the car, you know it. As the car swings out and it starts to swing back, you're in a four-wheel drift
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of sliding right here and you're trying to come back, but you're actually scraping off speed. The 18's running full speed, and in that split instance, it doesn't look that way when it's in slow motion, but they back up to you. You didn't really do anything other than just drive off the corner in conventional manner.
Interesting. Okay. I can see that point. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to
That is a tough one.
oof. I hate to be in that
But
spot.
you just, I'd be curious to see from the in-car, speed-wise, what was going on. If he dropped any speed. In fact, he did. If you go in and look at the in-car, you'll see the car lost 2 miles an hour there as he was swinging back down.
That'd be the 22 of Rivera. I was looking for Rivera here for a second. There we go. And let's put, actually, I don't think, yeah, it won't work here. So we'll have to use the RPMs as a reference here. We've run 8,100 here through 3 and 4. Down to 8,000.
Swings out and then comes back right here.
Yep, you see how it drops down? Almost 8,000 RPM there, yeah?
Well, I have the availability with different telemetry to see the car. It was 185 coming off the corner. And it swung down to about 182 through the sweep. And when contact was made, so...
The other question I would have in that situation, Kev, was there... How close was he to the car in front? Was he checking up from that car, or was there a distance there? I didn't get a chance to see that part, but... Either way, coming back to the green, lap 97 now as Doy Woods and Grzelva lead. Grzelva trying to get himself in line behind Doy, does that. We have Brian Wortman up to third. Kevin Brown, Mike Montesi, your top 5. Tires versus track position right here.
Yeah, not to kill a horse, but there were 2 mile an hour drop.
Okay.
Heading to the start finish line, and that 2 mile an hour was the catalyst for that connection. Bobby Wetzel 1 lap down, Jose Gonzalez 3 laps down, Medina 4 laps down, Glenn Campbell 4 laps down, were retired from the race, 28 laps down. Ryan is out. Ryan Murphy is out. So we have 5 cars, 6 cars off the pace here, 29 cars on the lead lap.
Bertman pulled the emergency safe and went to the back. As now Montesi, Kevin Brown battle for the lead here. E.G. O'Rourke is in this battle. As mentioned, Wesley Donaldson. And look at the 4th car outside lane. Here comes the boss man with a shot. Went a lap down early in this race.
That might be the first laps led by Kevin DeBrown.
Yeah, he almost led earlier. I'm not sure if he officially got a lap led, but if the race was not 100% now, it is 100% now. There is nothing to hold back anymore. 4th quarter, what you gonna get? Appreciate the viewers hanging out here this evening. And as always, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you're not new, then we appreciate you coming back and hanging out. Make sure you pass the word on to your friends and family and hit that subscribe button as always. As see some 3 wide back here with Josh Parker.
I'll tell you, it's crazy is there's 40 laps to go.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem quick as we got Josh Parker against the outside wall out of turn 4. Everybody scrambles to miss him. He's going to gather it up, but that's a lot of laps left. And still, these drivers are playing the chess match in their mind, trying to figure out, well, now is the time. Do I need the track position? Do I need to race? Or I do need to avoid the next big one coming in the next 10 laps?
Yes.
The question lies, and this is the number $1 million question. When do you think the big one is over, and when should you just heck with it? I need to go, and that's all there is to it.
See my previous answer. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, the funny thing is that is a different number for different people.
Yeah.
Some people think, well, you know, with 40 laps to go, that's 60 miles. Maybe I'm going to wait till 10 to go. Some of them are going to wait till green checker.
I'm not waiting that long. I mean,
Not over.
Eventually,
I'd have to think within 20 to go. I'd just throw
If-
caution to the wind.
if you race scared, you're going to finish 25th. Now, I say that, and that's coming from my mouth, the guy that sits in the back and runs in the back all night long on these super speedway races. I don't do that to race scared. I do that because I'm trying to think what's the best position to put me in to finish where I can get the best finish possible. But I do know it's going to come to a point when in this race, I have to go try to win this thing. And if I'm in the back, there's got to be a number in my head that I set that says, all right, at this point, I have to go. And with Atlanta only being 50 feet wide from the blue and red line to the outside wall, there's not much room. There's only room for 2, maybe 3 cars at most. So I think in that, you got to multiply this. So I think at most, you almost have to go probably 20 laps to go and go get it and see what you can get. And that doesn't even mean you're going to get to the front, because then you got to figure out which lane is moving at what point and what line you want to be in case the wreck breaks out. But if you race scared, you will finish 25th in this race with ease.
Yeah, there's certain things that I know looking at this field. If I were sitting in the pack, say, running where the 22 of Nelson Rivera is, just right in the top 20 mark.
Oh,
one on the apron there.
Wood's got
Give it a minute.
Yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's good.
Collected it. Okay. So I look at someone like Tyler Dalton. I know Tyler Dalton has one thing on mind: win. He
Yes.
wants to win. That's all there is to it. If he's back here with me, I'm going back to Jim Carrey. Say I got a chance, right? Because if he's there, I'm just going to hook on his back bumper in the last 5 laps and follow him through. He'll create the path.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If you're in a series that you've been around for a long time, you know the drivers that can super speedway race. You know the ones that you can go out there and trust. Dalton is one of those guys. I think Josh Parker right there in the 81 is another one of those guys that you could sit there and you can get in line with and know that, you know what, that guy's likely going to pull me to the front, or he's going to put himself in a spot that'll help me out, or whatever, because Parker's not afraid to be aggressive. I think Mike Kelly's another one, but most of these guys are already up towards front. Look at Parker giving that push to Jeff Ryan. Cannot push the pusher. That's never a good thing. That almost got bad there. And you see they're coming up on a lap car here. As look who, by the way, is leading this race.
Yeah. Yes, I was just going to say
Kelly.
that, right? Quintessential. It's time to go. The guy who rode out the back smoking a cigar through the whole thing is now running in the top 5.
By the way, he did say I could talk to him during this race. Oh.
He's a little busy.
So say, I wonder if this is a good time.
Yeah, I talked about the car control of Justin Fuller and EJ O'Rourke. Fuller is against the wall out of turn 4 that time by. He's pushing the 93 out of turn 4 this time by as EJ O'Rourke goes back in command. He becomes a 14th, 15th, 16th leader. It's almost impossible to keep track of it here.
I commend you for trying. I'll just wait till the
I
race
call
ends
it
and they show me the
14
results.
based on my notes, but I'm sure I missed 1 or 2 here. Back bumpers are caving in on these cars right now as everybody is right on top
My
of them.
gosh, yes they are. Cars are getting out of shape. We had a lap car a minute ago who's almost had contact with the field. That could have been bad, but everybody's done a great job of minding their P's and Q's here. But boy,
This is where when I race with these guys, I'm astonished by the car control. I see cars where I come out of the corner and I could smile at them because the number is facing me, and yet somehow they just steered right through it and I'd be on my roof.
yeah. That's why I still feel today that I can say that I've actually won a Sim500 race, even though half the field will pick on me for bowling through the top 8. To say I've won one of these super speedway races in this field, and look at this.
3 wide. EJ O'Rourke missed the corner. He's going to be 3 wide as Wesley Donaldson's down below him. They have to go
Boys,
below the line.
boys.
Come on, get it straightened out by the time you go to 3. They did. Kind of. Sort of. Maybe.
Kelly's probably cussing somebody out right now for that.
And I want you to look at who's running in 4th.
Jeff Ryan, look at there.
Jeff Ryan, I talked about it. Somebody like that could show up later and come and win this race. He's looking out the windshield at Eric Arnold, who's been running in the top 10. So 2 different strategies net out a top 5 run at this juncture. One of them ran off the pace and wondered whether they were going to get lapped, and the other one tried to hang around into top 10, and both strategies have played out. So it goes to show there's no real secret formula to this. You just got to run your race.
was going to say the race is single filed out, but now Fuller's made the move to the outside of Kevin Brown, and, well, just like this.
Well, this is going to be fun because they're coming up on Brian Wertman as he goes down the back straightaway with a full head of steam, and I wonder whether they're going to make it to turn 4.
No, they're not. They're wrecking. Fuller, and there goes Parker into the wall. Robert Fiery and Jeff Ryan. Yep.
Mr. Wertman, as he's going to be the lucky dog, I believe.
And Yoakum just, oh,
that was a huge hit. Oh, my.
Ouch.
My teeth hurt watching that.
That's one of those wrecks that when you see this replay, you're going to see two cars reacting to the lap car. And I'm assuming they expected one to react different than the other. But Parker, it's going to start with Jeff Ryan and Robert Friery. And you're going to see here.
Yeah, and I want you to see Joey Jatina snuck right through this here.
They're 3 wide right there.
Number 14. The 81 took a huge hit to the front nose. I can't imagine he'll be good as the 3 could have held the brake here.
Rivera.
And Rivera just clipped him.
Oh, man.
That'll be a conversation for a later day, for sure.
So, what you're going to see is they're 3 wide. You see Patrick Colby here is going to be in the inside lane. Priory's going to get this run. They're going to push Jatina by, and then all of a sudden you're going to see the 3 of Ryan. They're 3 wide right here, and here comes Wertman up there. It's kind of slower. They reacted, and, well, it all transpired.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there wasn't a little something going on with the 3 coming together where the 2 cars just didn't match up correctly, but yeah, that one hit is a highlight reel right there.
Yeah, well, we'll leave that one alone. We did have some cars come to pit road here, by the way, as this is going to hand the lead over to Patrick Colby up here at the front. 25 laps to go. Let's get our last break in, and we will we'll let you know who's pitted and who's not as we come to the green flag here in just moments on the Captain Esports Network.
What a nice day to install my new mailbox.
Hi there, friend. I'm Dig Safely Man. My job is to ensure you call 811 before you dig.
Why do I need to do that?
Vital utilities like natural gas and electric run just beneath the Earth's surface. Damaging them can cause service interruption, environmental hazards, or personal injury.
I thought only contractors had to call before they dig, so homeowners do too.
Call 3 business days before you dig unless you have X-ray vision. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are at the Atlanta Motor Speedway under caution for the 3rd time, if I remember correctly, here tonight as Patrick Colby.
4th caution.
It is the 4th caution tonight, thank you. As Colby going to lead this race here in that Alabama 28 car, the Georgian Chad Coleman there on the inside lane. Then it's, of course, Mike Kelly, who's back up to the 3rd position. Charles Van Schaik, Mike Montesi, your top 5 here. What has been a pretty wild affair here after a little bit of carnage here. And now with 24 to go, you've got cars that just came to pit road. Justin Fuller going to restart 11th. He will be the first one on tires here. Fuller, E.J. O'Rourke, Eric Arnold, Kevin Brown, Wesley Donaldson, Tyler Dalton, Joey Jatina, all pitted for tires. Looks like Scott Simley might have went fuel only, if not 2 tires. He's 19th. Grijalva, Schrader, and Wertman. Wertman actually got the lucky dog, so he's back on the lead lap at 22nd right now. So there you go. So the front 10 on the older tires here, and then there's the next 10. So you thought the racing got wild? Seatbelts on. Hello to Matt Casbarro.
What's strange is this is just like the original drop of the green flag, just different set of players. The 23 of Charles Van Schaik, he thinks he started 4th in a 30-lap race. It's like a Saturday night feature for Charles as the 2 of Mike Kelly trying to push that low line.
There were about 4 wide back here with Gerald Livingston. They thought they're cooler. I mean, look at this.
I'll tell you what, that 38 does not look like it has any steam under the
Charles!
hood.
Shoot,
Wow.
shoot. Here comes the 11 of Seth Foudy.
This is not going to work into turn one. It just isn't.
Give each other room, boys. Here comes Grzelva top side.
The energy and the runs coming out of that turn two down the back straightaway are just enormous for these guys.
Montesi to the bottom. Here goes Fuller to the top. Colby's going to be stuck in the middle now. Anyways, I can't sing the lyrics, so I'll hum it.
Wow. I'm just going to pause for a second and soak it in.
Right?
We've not talked about Tyler Dalton. He's finally asserted himself. So I think it is time to go. Find him running in that top line, about the 6th car, 7th car back, the 19. He's leaving a little space, though. What I see, Seth Foudy stepped out of turn 4. He's running through the middle, and everybody's going to kind of squeeze around him. But you know, some of these veteran drivers, they want to run hard, but they also leave a gap in front of them and are constantly watching the escape lanes they ride around here with the laps ticking off.
I'm watching everybody take runs. I'm watching the 14 car is literally dragging his car on the track, so he's got to have damage or something. I'm watching, I mean, this is mayhem out here. As Fuller, by the way, is back to the front with Eric Arnold, Kevin Brown, Joseph Grzelva, and Wesley Donaldson now your top 5.
There are errant bumps to the bumpers coming just about everywhere around the racetrack. We talked about whether you could bump on the straightaway. You had to line somebody up in the middle of the corner, in the trioval. We're seeing cars hammering each other right now, trying to generate the energy to get a run.
What happens if you bump the guy who's blinking?
That's usually no bueno.
I see the 31 blinking up there in second. I'm like, whoa. Let's look at the bottom side here. Chad Coleman pushing your newest first-time winner in the series from Michigan 2 weeks ago, Charles Van Schaik. He wants to be a 2-time winner just that quick as he's got that 23-car rolling. Remember, Coleman, the Ironman of the series, has not won in over 2 years on the Cup side.
We see cars scraping the wall out of turn 4 over there. They're against the wall on the front straightaway at the start-finish line. And now is the time I would want to see if I could find myself a teammate. We look at Jatina sitting behind the 19 of Sim500 Mafia teammate Tyler Dalton running in that top line. So I have to wonder if drivers are starting to hook up and trying to take advantage of the tandems.
Well, and this goes back to my point about 20 to go. You're at 17 to go now, and you saw how quick everything double filed back up. So if you're sitting back where, like Mark Schrader right now, Gerald Livingston, Brian Wortman, Doug Sigmund back there in that back 4 from 20th to 24th, you have nowhere to go now. So it's like now you have to kind of pick your way through, which would have been a lot easier to do when everybody was single file. So now you've got 16 laps to find out, how am I going to pass 20 cars and get to the lead of this race? It becomes tougher with the less laps you have to go. And then you got to start banking on the old big one. But you can't always project that's going to happen and not get involved.
Yeah, at this point, you're riding in that pack and you're in the front. You're thinking, I need to maintain my track position. You're riding in the middle. You're thinking, I need to go forward. You're riding in the back and going, maybe this isn't too bad. Something's going to happen, or I need to figure a way to get somebody to help me get up there in the middle of this. I can't seem to generate the run. You're constantly like on the psychiatrist's couch as you sit in the middle of this group trying to figure it out as you get to lap 127, favorite number, and try to decide, what do I need to do in order to be the one at the front at lap 140?
The England family lap right here, lap 127.
Right here. We were on our roof last night at the action track.
Oh, no.
Rolled the car back over and drove it away. That was kind of fun.
How Dale of you.
Flipped the car, flipped it, did a little pirouette. I was staring at Corey, looking out the windshield right in front of me as I was snapping off pictures from the infield, and flipped him back over, and he went on his merry way.
Wait, you didn't do the old coach move where you fold your hands looking down at him and shake your head like, no?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was looking at the bottom of the car. He couldn't really see me till they flipped him back over. I gave him a little wave. He was looking at the officials trying to figure out if anything was bent on any of the corners, and off he went.
Nice.
I don't call it the action track for nothing.
Which is not Richmond, by the way, for those curious. This is what track again?
Kutztown Speedway in Pennsylvania.
There you go. Where the Englands go to race, and you guys are running. Correct me. I'm trying to remember all this. Modifieds?
It's a 600 sprint car,
okay.
winglet kind,
Nice.
like they run at the Tulsa Shootout and
Yeah.
so on.
The
Boy, look at these guys.
We're talking quarter
They're
midgets.
fun.
They're racing hard.
Oh, this is going to be 3 wide going into turn 3. We're seeing very similar to what we saw before when we had that big melee. We got left, right, swing, middle, high line, bumps and pushes. This is just crazy. We're lap 130. We're inside 10 to go as we come to the stripe. And right now, it's kill time. Drivers trying to do what they can. The driver trying to find a lane right now is the 21 of E.J. O'Rourke right through the middle. 3 wide as they go across the stripe. Will he be able to find a path to victory here tonight as time is running out?
The one thing I'm noticing right now is that this top side has really got control. I think one of these cars up in the top side are going to have to pull down here to help out the inside lane. Although, I mean, look at this now. You got 7, 8 cars all pulled away. And oh, by the way, a majority of these cars all pitted at that caution. So the tires have won this battle.
Yeah, the 2 of Mike Kelly pulled down there in the middle of 3 and 4 and lost a couple positions as he stepped out while Grajava was against the fence, just scraping again, trying to get to the right rear corner of the 93 to pull him back. I'm wondering if he's looking at the side draft to get that position. He did it to Joey Jattina and missed the car, but that top line is prevailing, and we see this in the super speedways. There's going to be no paint left on the 18 on the right side.
What he's doing, he's getting to the right rear. How do you slow the car down? Side drafting off the right rear. I mean, imagine going past the semi and you feel all that air coming inside your right side window. That's getting side drafted by a semi. It's kind of the same thing here, except these aren't semis. Either 3,000 I think they are now, or 3,400 pound stock cars.
21 into the back of the 18. They're sideways going into turn 3. O'Rourke trying to take that low line to see if he can make some momentum out of turn 4 as top 5 run nose to tail, and the 18 is sideways. 21's down in the grass. Somehow they grab a gear and keep driving as the 21's going to drop back to about 20th. His night is done.
Did EJ even lift? That's
No,
the main.
I
I
don't
bet you he
believe so.
didn't. I so thought that the 18 was heading for the wall.
Tyler,
Oh, now they are. Jattina.
Sideways. He's
Yep.
at 14.
Jattina gets
And
turned
yellow is
sideways.
out.
Yep, caution.
Yeah, that was coming. This is where you're on top of each other and you're not going to lift. If you get into the back of somebody and they get sideways, you're just going to drive through them. Unfortunately, that looks to be the fate of the Sim500.com number 14 as they were going down there. He had that incident with Grajava and the 21 of EJ O'Rourke happen right in front of him. And the run that he got up to the back of the number 19 culminated in him having to check up.
He and Kelly made contact.
Yeah.
Kelly.
And I just think that was him stepping back because he had no place to go. There was a 3,400 pound race car in front of him.
Well, they always say in racing it's the rule of 5s. You get 5 cars checked up. Usually the 5th car is the one that gets turned. Joey is about the 4th or 5th car here. And there's, obviously, inadvertently, Kelly gets on assembly into the wall and then Van Schaik with contact. So all the turn 1 heroes got a piece of Jattina there.
Yeah, my curiosity was the 2 got into the back of him, and I'm sure, the last thing you want to do is run over the boss. But did he have any help when he tried to check up and somebody got into him? Unfortunately, the back end was clear as the 12 of Scott Simley was off him a little bit, and the 2 just misjudged the entry, nicked the 14, and turned him sideways.
Yeah, as you're going to see on board here, you see the space right there. And then Mike's just going to get such a good run with the push from his teammate there. And then the checkup, and unfortunately, just nowhere to go.
You have to wonder if he just mistimed turning in and not understanding how Joey had to slow up when he got to the number 19 in front of him.
You know how super speedways are, Kev. I mean, it's one of those you kind of can't project when a checkup's going to happen. But when you have, and let's show this here. But look up here as they're coming off the back straightaway. You get a gap here between Fuller and Kevin, and obviously we're going to stop it right here. Look at the gaps here. So eventually Kevin's got to check up. So what happens when Kevin DeBrown checks up? Well, Eric Arnold's got to check up. And then what happens when Eric Arnold checks up? Well, then the car behind him's got to check up. And those gaps eventually are all going to close up right about here. So here comes Arnold. He's going to get up here, and then you see Wesley's getting out of the gas. And then there's the contact. Actually, a lot more further apart than I thought they were.
Yeah, I think the 14 was coming on the 19 with a head of steam. When the two cars popped out at the start-finish line, it left the 14 with a big gap in front of him, and he got such a draft off of turn 4. Watch the closing rate at the end of the straightaway here. And when he went to check up to keep from running over the 19, the 2 ducked out of line but just didn't get there fast enough. Watch how 14 comes in, closes right about here, and he checks up, and the 2 comes in and nicks him.
Yep.
The bigger loser in that, beyond the 14, was the 12, who right side damage all the way through, and he's going to go to pit road to get some service and 4 tires and fuel in that number 12 Ford GT car.
All right, 1 to go before we get to the green flag. 4 laps to go. Fuller up front, and it's kind of weird. It's the first time that I heard Justin Fuller say something positive today about this next-gen car, and it really wasn't about the car. It was about the racing at Atlanta in this car on iRacing, as he didn't necessarily say some nice things about the racing in real life here, but absolutely loves the super speedway racing here in Atlanta that it does on iRacing. But Fuller looking to score a second win here of the season.
And I pick drivers out like Kevin DeBrown for this type of race because some drivers thrive on chaos. I don't particularly like this kind of racing because you're so not in control of what's going to happen around you. As the green comes out, some drivers just love this kind of racing.
Get some wheel spin out of the leaders there, but everybody getting up to speed. Fuller maybe too good of a restart. We'll have to see here as he gets Kevin DeBrown to his back bumper. Watch for a run from the 31 here. As Brown gets there, here comes the 31 of Arnold, and see if he moves up, or is he going to stay in line? He moves up. Here comes the run from Wesley Donaldson. Outside line looking fairly strong right now as the inside line tries to organize up. As they come off turn 4, going to come to 2 to go. Fuller with a big block. Oh boy. Oh, boy.
Oh.
Did they save it? Oh,
There's
no
no
there
way
they go.
No. There's one car on its roof over there. I can't tell who that was.
That was
Maybe
Seth Foudy.
11.
Yep. They were 5 wide in a 1.
And the blessing for Patrick Colby is he squirted out of line over in turn 3 and drove down underneath and missed that entire thing, and he'll live to race again.
That was a huge block by Fuller. And that put Eric Arnold in a bad spot, but yet it worked out. Not for Foudy, unfortunately.
Yeah, they were 3 wide, beating and banging off each other going through the corner. The 93 got sideways, and at one point there were 5 cars stacked. You had the 4 down on the bottom, the 91, the 93, the 00, the 11, and the 2 right in on the mix. And when they're stacked 6 wide going into the corner, there's just no way they're coming out the other side.
Yeah, they definitely did.
You see right here behind the billboards there.
Mike Kelly with damage in there. Doy Woods.
Talked about the damage model and whether these cars are durable. Well, Seth Foudy just tested that, and I'm not sure he's going to come out the other side of this. All
right, so there are 4 there. There are 4 here. That's now 5. And wrecked.
Yeah, and you have to watch the 17. That's about the gold-plated good hands of the race situation. He might have had a little contact, but for the most part, incredible move by the 17 to get around this.
Let's ride. We'll ride with Kevin here. We got to get the ride with the 4011 car here of Foudy.
as he used to say at my local track, upside down, ladies and gentlemen. Things don't quite look the same the way they're supposed to.
Never.
That was a gentle little one.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse. Let's go to the 17. You mentioned Kevin Stone.
He saw everything stack up to the outside, jammed the brake on, got up to the outside, and then hooked the left. Watch this. Right here.
Yeah, a little bit of nose damage, but yeah.
Just drove right underneath it all. He should have, by all rights, been plowed into that stack and grinding against the outside wall. And I don't know how he was able to drive it down the banking and drive himself out of it, but he finds himself in 8th position for this restart.
As we're going to go to overtime officially here. As I mentioned earlier, by the way, I was going through the history of the race. This is the longest scheduled distance race that they've had at Atlanta. However, you go back to March of 2023 when they ran here. It was a 143-lap race with the overtimes and stuff. So we're going to fall right about that number. That was the night Josh Parker went to victory lane here. The other winners at the new track, Richard Beasley back in 2022. David Comstock winning the July race last year.
Fuller, Arnold, Dalton, EJ O'Rourke, all pitted lap 115, have the freshest tires. Everybody else, Coleman, Montesi, Mike Kelly, Kevin Stone, and others, lap 95 last time to pit road for tire changes, depending on what they opted to do in their last service. So freshest tires sitting right on top of the stack in the 51, 31, and 19.
Going to be a wild race to the finish. As we get ready to come to the green flag, we appreciate all the viewers for watching again here this evening. Tonight, as always, appreciate you joining us each and every Monday night as we start to hit the waning stretches of the regular season into the playoffs. No nights off now, I think, until November, I believe, on the schedule, if I remember correctly. So we're going to be here for 2 straight months racing and broadcasting on Monday nights. So sit back and hang out. You're ready for a great finish here tonight. Make sure you guys check out the Captain Esports store if you haven't already yet. As we come to the green, it is Fuller taking the inside lane. Eric Arnold, Chad Coleman, Tyler Dalton all appears. Chad Coleman leans on the 31. Good start from Fuller. Oh, and they're checking up. Oh, they didn't go.
He did not go.
And
I'm
Kevin,
not sure if he missed a gear and the 17 is around. Just talked about how he avoided calamity, and they were there doing pirouettes on the start. But
watch out, Nelson. Shades of Daytona again, where they try a restart and didn't go.
for the 22. That was almost a moment there.
Well,
I was going to say on that restart, the driver that looked like he had the best scenario on paper was the 19 of Tyler Dalton with the 4 of Mike Montesi, a teammate, sitting right behind him. But I'm not sure what happened to the Trans-Service Camaro. Montesi maybe missing a gear or something, but he just did not go. Everybody else slammed the loud pedal, and his car did not go anywhere. And the driver who paid the price for it is the 17 of Stone.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Unfortunate for Stone and others here, but yeah, just a big checkup. Wesley Donaldson, I think, getting some damage maybe here, or maybe went to the grass, but Mons with damage. Oh, yeah, Wesley gets clobbered by Stone, but yeah, the same deal happened at Daytona. They tried 2 green, white, checkered restarts and could not even get going. So you're hoping that this next restart won't be anything like that, but let's see. Yeah, Montesi. Yeah, just did not pick up speed.
7 cautions so far. I would have thought the number would have been higher, quite frankly.
Well, believe it or
I'm
not,
hoping that we put the pin in that and be done with it. As I'm watching the pace car come down the front stretch with its headlights on, shining on the crowd. That is one of the coolest effects here in iRacing.
Should mention that 7's actually the most we've had in a race here, and that was 2 races ago at Atlanta back in the spring of last year.
Fuller, Dalton, Arnold, Coleman, Kelly going to be your top 5. O'Rourke, Montesi, Woods, Grijalva, Mons are your top 10. And how about this recovery for Justin Mons after watching what he went through in the beginning of the race?
Yeah, great recovery from Mons here. As we ride on board with Montesi, and he's in first gear here. And it does not want to go. And finally, it goes to second gear.
Yeah.
That same thing happened last week, didn't it? Or 2 weeks ago at Daytona. Didn't somebody try the first gear and could not get to second?
This is one of those racetracks where first gear is actually the advantage. You start in second, and anybody who can beat you in first gear will drive away from you. So you're forced to kind of play that game of, do I want to give a little something up on the restart? We noticed that first gear was viable, but one of the things about first gear is to pop it to second is a really complicated thing, because as soon as you step on the gas, you're changing gears, and it's step on the gas, step on the clutch, and pop it into second, all in one ballet of emotion. And it's really easy to do what happened there, which is miss and not get into second.
Now, I brought this up a few weeks ago, but one thing that I actually do that's different than any other car, except for like open wheel cars and stuff on iRacing, when the Gen 5 or this Gen 7 car came out, I knew I was going to have to do this, because I have one that has paddle shifters along with, I have a H, but Gen 7 car doesn't have an H pattern. It's obviously sequential. So I went to the paddles, and I knew by going to the paddles, I would have to probably change the way I shift. So what did I do to counter that? I put auto blip on. I hate to admit it. I'm the guy that's going to admit it. But ever since I drove this next gen car, I've always auto blipped. And that's one of those deals there where kind of explains why, because it's so hard hand and feet wise to, unless you're used to it, to blip the throttle to shift that paddle, or if you actually have a sequential shifter to use to do. So that's a
so to
tough
understand spot. That the auto blip is whap, whap,
right.
Whap, where
you're matching the RPMs
on your own. You're like wow, wow, wow,
yeah.
wow. You can
you're
almost like the motorcycle, bang it through the gears, but you have to hit it right. Some drivers use a button instead of a paddle shift to try and be more aggressive with that.
Yeah, so basically the difference is I don't lift while I shift, while you have to blip, meaning you have to hit the RPMs to match. So basically you have to let off the throttle real quickly to get it to shift in the right gear, is what the difference is.
We got to set up this restart here. We're 2 of 2 in green, white, checkered, and you have the driver who has set blistering poles. Is this going to be a pole qualifying lap for the 19, or will the 51 be able to outrun him? We're about to go back to green and settle this thing as green is out. Good jump for Justin Fuller to the outside. Will Eric Arnold be able to push the 19 for Tyler Dalton as that top line behind Fuller is stalled?
Fuller needs a trail break back to this pack here. He's got too good of a run. And here comes the outside lane. Chad Coleman, you know he's going to want to win this race. Hometown driver from Georgia saying, hey, I want to break a win streak at my home. Why not? As O'Rourke gets turned sideways, they're straight still. Everybody's, wow.
That's what I was talking about as they come out of turn 4. Unfortunately for Tyler Dalton, he's lost his wingman. We'll see whether or not Arnold could get to him as white flag in the air.
Final lap.
What will the 21 do as Eric Arnold goes down? He's going to drop out of this mix.
I know the one thing I would not do, and that's block the driver from Georgia who's going to try to win this thing. To the apron, he continues to push Fuller.
Rajalva has a good run to the outside. Can he get to EJ O'Rourke and help him? But right
now...
he
turned him!
Oh, look at that!
And Coleman!
Unbelievable. They're all crashing as they go across the line, and it is going to be Chad Coleman scoring the win.
The Georgia boy. How about that? The streak is done. Sure, not the way you probably wanted to do it, but Coleman.
I don't think he thinks the race is over. He's still full bore on the throttle. Good for him. Yeah, he was just against the back bumper. The question is,
I think Fuller just tried to return the favor. Oh my gosh, how about this? I mean, how many races has that been since? I mean, it was, what, April of 2022, I believe, is the last Chad Coleman Cup win at Talladega.
Yeah, and I'm sure Mr. Fuller's not going to be happy about that, but that, to me, is the quintessential hard racing. Just flat out coming off turn 4 for the win, and wow. Look at it. Look at the fun they're having down there. I want to pretend it's fun. I don't know if anybody's mad at anybody or they just have having a blast, but how about that? Everybody likes to see a veteran get a win after a long drought, and you can't be anything but excited for Chad Coleman picking up the win here.
Oh, by the way, do you know who won the Friday Night Thunder race this past Friday night?
I do not.
Chad Coleman at Talladega. So, hey, there must be something here in the water all of a sudden for Coleman as he goes to victory lane here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. What a finish it was. I'll get that number here in just a second as we get ready to do interviews and stuff. But let's first take a look at the finishing order here because it is a wild top three here. Chad Coleman wins it over E.J. O'Rourke, and Mike Kelly gets back to the top three. As Grijalva, we'll have to see who's the top three. I've got Grijalva third, apparently. Mike Kelly fourth, and well, look how close it was. 5/1000. We'll have to go back and see that. Doy Woods fifth, Kevin Brown sixth, Mark Schrader comes back to seventh, Mons eighth, Montesi and Scott Simley top 10, Patrick Colby 11th, Brian Wortman 12th, Tyler Dalton 13th, Joey DeTino 14th, and Doug Sigmund finishing in the 15th position. 16th goes to Charles Van Schaik, Wesley Donaldson 17th, Randy Oakham 18th, Livingston 19th, and Eric Arnold 20th, Kevin Stone 21st, Justin Fuller 22nd, David Comstock 23rd, Seth Foudy 24th, and Bobby Wetzel 25th. 26 goes to Nelson Rivera, 27th, going to Jose Medina, Jeff Ryan 28th, Robert Fryer to third is 29th, and Josh Parker 30th. Jose Gonzalez 31st, Glenn Campbell 32nd, Tommy Ryan 33rd, Ryan Murphy in the 34th position. Was that worth it or not? That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, up 26 positions. Mark Schrader, a top 10. Great run for him. Patrick Colby finishes 11th. Brian Workman up 20 positions to finish 12th. And how about that finish? That was just crazy. We saw cars just flat out sideways crossing the line. I think 7 or 8 cars were 90 degrees to the start finish line going across in that finish. That was bedlam, as we said it was going to be.
Let's watch them as they get a camera here. Here we go. As we watch down to turn 3 and 4. I mean, Coleman is literally shoving Fuller down in through the corners here. And right there, he's just going to hook him.
I think the 51 drifted up, and when he tried to turn back down against the back bumper, that was the inevitable turn sideways. And unfortunately for him, he didn't slide across the line all the way. All those other cars snuck by, and he's going to get scored back a little further than he wanted to be, but so close. And how about Chad Coleman leading, 500 yards?
About.
He led from turn 4 to the start-finish line, the only time he led tonight to pick up the victory.
Let's watch the finisher as they come to the line.
Sideways.
Wow, that was the third place finish, by the way. Oh, wow, one car was flying.
Holy cow, that one car went flying.
That's a different definition of roll tide. So, yeah, Grijalva officially third by, well, this is an interesting margin. As we rewind this back, because you're going to see Grijalva's D18 car here. And Mike Kelly finishes fourth. Completely backwards.
Yeah. And that did not work at all for Tyler Dalton, who was restarted, second? Ended up 13th. So.
Wow. It's
what a crazy finish. I have not seen a car get that much air as the 28 did. He was physically above the fence at one point in that.
All right, so let's go talk to our top 3 finishers. And, of course, one of my screens says it's Mike Kelly. The other one says it's Grijalva. So,
the 18 was third.
All right, there you go. So, according to Kevin, he's saying the 18's third. So, let's talk to Grijalva, who finishes in the third position here tonight. As Joe, obviously a wild race for him as he finishes here third. But, obviously carnage going on around you there. But, man, your best Sim500 finish here tonight. And what was a crazy finish?
Hey, man, I'm glad to talk to you again. It's been a minute, but glad to talk to you there. Yeah, that ending was pretty wild. It was pretty much everybody take all, and you make little enemies. I'm pretty sure everybody had their foot down. Nobody knew what a break was anymore, right?
That'll happen sometimes. Well, talk about that last lap, what you've seen, because obviously you guys are just trying to get everything you can get, and then all of a sudden you got the 2-car in your door backwards as you cross the line.
Yeah, so one of those cautions, I dipped in and took 4, and then I managed to get a good run on the outside against the wall, and I must have passed like, I don't know, 80% of the field and ended up in 4th or something like that. Now I'm like, if I get a shot at that again, I'm gonna take 4 more, and we'll try to swing it on the outside, and see if it sticks around. So I got a little luck there. I'm honestly, I gotta see it because I don't quite sure what happened. I just went to the outside and followed whatever line was open, but I knew I wanted to stay against the wall, and I just ended up behind EJ, and I'm like, it's him and me on the outside, and we'll just push it and see what happens. And then you know how the travel is, it opens up there, so we ended up in the middle of each other.
Well, obviously, a great effort here tonight. Congratulations, and again, your first top 3, first podium finish here in the series, and send some shout-outs whoever you like to.
Yeah, just thanks to Joey Gatina for putting this on and welcoming me on board. I ruffled the little feathers there, and I'm sorry for doing that, I guess. But, it's racing. So, but thank you to all the drivers there, and especially you guys here, Chris and Kevin here for calling the race. I can't wait to watch it. It's got to be crazy. Of course, the car sponsor, BKA El Paso Racing. Look them up on Facebook. Give them a thumbs up. It's local karting racing here in El Paso, Texas. Tanda, T-A-N-D-A, racing.com, tandaracing.com. The private kart supplier for the entire country of the United States. If you guys want to go some karting, look them up. They'll get you squared away.
There you go, man. Congratulations on your first top 3 finish. Go celebrate and go have some fun.
Absolutely. And just real quick, I'm sorry. Shout out to Dad for watching tonight and always watching. Big thumbs up to him.
There you go, man. Great job, buddy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Joseph Grijalva finishing 3rd, and a big shout out to all his troops there in El Paso as he is a part of the service, and appreciate what they do for this country. And while I do the counting here of some things, Kevin, I'm going to leave you to put up with this guy here for a minute, but we'll let EJ have a minute of time here. So go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, just say, EJ, we were talking about your ability to put your car in places that most people would not.
Like you said, well. Go ahead.
I said ability, and I meant it. Take us through that final lap. You were sideways on the back straightaway. There's no reason to believe you should have come back across and found your way to 2nd.
Well, Kevin, I'll tell you what, this number 21 units Toyota Camry TRD X whatever, the Toyota Cup Cow was real good. Just wheeling and dealing up there, man. Joey got in the back of me there, and I have leaned forward and was just trying to, wheel my way through there. Gladly we all didn't die, and you got to just kind of reach up there and pull the belts tight again and keep going.
Yeah, coming down the back straightaway, you drew alongside the 2nd place car. I was wondering if you were going to find the energy behind you to push around, and what was your thought as you came off turn 4 and saw the contact between Fuller and Coleman?
I didn't know what happened. I was so focused on pinching down Mike to try to get 3rd and do an interview because I thought they're kind of cool, but I didn't know Fuller spun until at the checker when I came up 2nd. Chad won. I feel bad there. I gave Chad a huge shot to the lead, and I was hoping if I push Chad to Fuller, they'll race side by side and slow themselves down, and I could either go top of 3 or something, try to win. But when you're leading, you're the sit and duck. I mean, it doesn't matter whoever's leading. It's impossible to throw a block without, but Fuller did a good job up there, shagging into Tim a little bit there. I don't think he meant to do that, but that's what happens in this plate blocking and side sucking and race restrictor plate racing.
Yeah, as you came off of turn 2, the 2 was with you, and unfortunately he ducked down and went with the leaders as they came off of turn 3. I think if he'd have stayed with you, maybe you'd have generated enough energy, and then that bounce and bop going across the start-finish line to turn you sideways. That had to be just one of those moments where you were begging to get whatever position you could going across the line sideways.
Yeah, I felt like I ran a really good race here in this Units Camry. I think I might have led the lowest laps, so I was up front a lot, and I kind of got shuffled there on one of the restarts and got back to 20. I think there's just a couple wing nuts up here that just really don't know what they're doing, and these guys it's hard to race around them. You live for one guy, and everyone comes behind you, and we got back up to 6th and racing with another guy with a bad connection. it's tough to race around these kind of people, and go back to second. Really wanted to win. These races are really hard to win, but we'll try again.
Talk about the race at this particular racetrack. Not something we have a ton of experience with because the track is new, the surface is new, night is new. Take us through the evening and some of the things that you experienced that we don't know about because we're watching from the grandstands.
I didn't even think of that. This was a new night race here. Personally, I like the daytime better. More lifting comes into it, and more saving, and a little bit more ability comes into the daytime racing. But the nighttime was cool. The first run there, the first 50 laps or whatever, I didn't lift once. I mean, cracked it here and there, but really just wide open the whole time. And but if you ran in the back of the pack, like a couple of my teammates there, they were lifting, they were getting tight. A couple of them, Wesley was using a little bit of brake to set the nose, and I was just hoping if I could get up front with a good push, it'd work out. But P2, it's good points day, I guess, even though not the points. So it is what it is.
Talk a little bit about the bumping, the drafting, the side drafts, the runs, that type of energy. Tell us a little bit about what you experienced through the middle of the race.
Yeah, there's only a handful of people that really know how to do this well. I think I'm pretty good at it. Kevin Brown's really good. Wesley Fuller, Tyler Dalton. There's a handful of guys that Wetzel, that are really good at this type of hooking up and pushing, and some people just get up here and they'll completely lift out of the throttle. It's like a light switch throttle. You don't know how to modulate the gas, and it really just kills the lines. And Coleman's really good at this too, Nelson. But it's just it is what it is. We had fun. I think it's a good race, and I had a good time.
Well, we had a blast watching you, and I'm sure you had a blast behind the wheel. How about it? You want to give a shout out to anybody, EJ?
Yeah, of course. I thank you guys for broadcasting, man. It's really a really good time, and really wanted to get this units carrying victory lane, and just gotta thank everyone here, Wade Malik and units and portable storage. I really appreciate them coming on board, and this 21 looks good. Wanted to get one for Ed Burrell. Just keep on trying, keep on going.
I love that you mentioned that, and we love to see the 21 carried on in the legacy. And congratulations, second place finish tonight. That's a lot of hard work, and I'm sure you're ready for a break and to have some remembrance with going down and talking to these guys about how the race played out. Congratulations on your second place finish, and we'll see you next week at Watkins Glen as we turn it over to Chris. He's going to talk to our winner tonight, Chad Coleman.
Yeah, EJ.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you too, buddy. EJ O'Rourke finishing in the second position here tonight, and wait a minute here. Did you say something about a tailless dog too?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
So we got side suckers, wing nuts, and tailless dog.
Yep.
He's on a roll tonight, boys. All right, good job, man.
Thank you.
Ever see a tailless dog wag its tail?
Oh, I'm laughing over here so hard. All right.
That.
I gotta put my face on straight here for a second. All right. Oh, Chad Coleman. Oh man. So while EJ was rambling on there, Chad gave me an opportunity to go count. It'd been 77 races since you won in the Cup side.
Yep.
How'd you know?
Because I know it's been a long time.
So April of 2022 at Talladega. Now you go home and win this race.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of running this track. I was telling everybody earlier I'd rather run the old Atlanta, just because of the driver aspect of it.
Right.
But I mean that turned out to be a pretty fun race. For the most part, we could pass more than I thought we would be able to with the way the side draft works on this car. But that's what I was telling EJ when I was talking to some other guys. I was like, look, over the last probably year and a half, almost 2 years, maybe it might have been 2 years, I was like, look, I gave a couple of these away not being aggressive enough. So, so I just right there, just got to try to take it. The objective wasn't to turn Fuller. The objective was to try to slide to his outside off of 4, and when I went to let my car slide to his outside off 4, he came up with me, and it hooked him and turned him. Now, no, I didn't lift, but that's what happens. So, to him, sorry, but at the same time, I just felt like I had to go, had to do what I had to do.
is there a situation there? Because obviously you're riding behind Fuller. You give him a big bump down the back straightaway there, and is there a certain point there? Because obviously they always did, the old cliche is you block once, okay, fine. You block twice, you're going in the wall. Was there ever like a situation like that you felt happened, or was that just one of those, you know, he was doing what he had to do to win the race, and you did what you had to do?
Felt like, you know, the same place right there. I felt like he was doing what he needed to do to win the race. Like, he made the block clean on the back straightaway the first time, and on the last lap, he made the block, you know, a little closer, but I still consider it mostly clean on the back the second time. And just when we went into 3 right there, he went in really low, and he messed his angle up, and I just able to stay on his bumper all the way through the corner. And when I went to go to his outside, try to edge my car up to go to his outside off of turn 4, it just hooked him. Like, we had done that most of the night, and it hadn't been a big deal. Now, right there at the end was the most laps anybody had on tires too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that makes a difference. I mean, I had 20 laps more on my tires than most people did right there, I think, besides Mike Kelly. But yeah, I told EJ and a couple of the guys that I was talking to just a while ago in here, and I said, like I said, I almost forgot what it feels like to win a race in that situation. Like, you know, I've won some races where you've been out front, and then just you kind of know you've got it won. But when it comes down to a situation like that, I ain't gonna lie, when we come off turn 4, I said, hell yeah, I got his ass.
Well, it was, I mean, people are enjoying the race here from what I'm seeing in chat. So obviously, man, it was a hard-fought battle there, and I'm glad to be able to be here to see the streak buster there. But obviously, to do it in Atlanta and to come home, and I know, obviously, I mean, I don't, you know, I've seen the details and stuff of what's going on, but what happened there near your home recently, and you know, from a personal side, I'm sure it had to be scary with you having kids and stuff like that, and all these different things. I mean, just to be able to come out here and have some fun and de-stress and win a race got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. And this weekend at the local dirt track that I work at, the racetrack is in Winder.
Yeah.
You know, Appalachia is part of the Barrow County school system. It was basically spillover where the county was growing so fast back about 20 years ago now. So we had a big thing for them Saturday night. Took up money, done memorial lap for the 13 injured and the 4 that, you know, were killed. And so Saturday night we done some good stuff for them there, and hopefully it helps a little bit that it can. But that's a rough deal.
Yeah. Well, man, great job, and obviously congratulations. And I see Kevin, big WBD diecast party in the front, but great job. Send some shout outs.
I think first and foremost on this deal, I got to thank EJ. We about wrecked off of 2, and they got all tangled up. So I was like, Fuller goes back to the bottom, and then Tyler went with him, and then I seen EJ coming, so I got as close to Tyler as I could without, you know, hooking him, and basically stalled us both out. When EJ got to me, EJ didn't really have much of a choice. I pulled up in front of him, and he knocked the piss out of me, and it gave me a rocket shot down the back straightaway. That on the white flag that Fuller, you know, that's when he made his block, but it just so much momentum, and then it never died out. So I got to thank him for the push. Me and him worked together all night. We worked together at a lot of super speedways and stuff. We had a lot of fun racing with EJ, but I got to thank Wesley with WBD Diecast for painting the cars and doing everything he does for us. I give him some crap all the time, but it's fun. It's all in fun. And thank all the guys at Sim500, all the admins and everything. Thank all the guys down there in the team name. I hated to see Josh have problems tonight. I was hoping me and him would be able to work together after he got up through the field. And David got wrecked, and Tommy got wrecked, and just Kevin got wrecked. Pretty much everybody in the channel died. I was in some wrecks. And so thank all of them, and of course, thank you. I feel like this has been a long time coming, and it's nice to finally do a winter interview.
There you go, man. Great job, and go celebrate with the group if whoever's left down there.
Yeah, I know it. Everybody got to go to bed early. We're old now.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, man, good job.
Thanks.
Chad Coleman, the winner here tonight, as he breaks a 77 race losing or winless streak, whatever they call it in racing. And first time since April 2022 goes to victory lane here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. That kind of worked out. I mean, I kind of brought it up there in the interview, but, you know, the one thing we didn't get to say, Chad, his area there where he's from is about an hour south of where I lived before moving up here to Indiana. And to read about what happened in the town of Winder, which is right outside the area there where he's from, with those kids getting shot and stuff this week at that school, or last week, and just a crappy situation. So I'm sure, you know, I'm up here kind of stressing myself in Indiana now because it was so close to home. So I can only imagine what somebody like him growing up in that area, knowing that kind of deal happens. So I'm sure, you know, the stress in him is there, but I'm sure to be able to come out here and have some fun and win that race got to be a good feeling for Chad. But man, this was that was absolutely wild.
Yeah, I mean, any parent, any grandparent, any sympathetic human being looks at situations like that and just says, I wish it would all go away. It would not be a part of society. And, you know, like, I reflect on this race, and one, I feel for, you know, you win some and you lose some. And coming off of turn 4, protecting your lead after running so strong all night and to see it go away in the last couple hundred yards, that's a tough pill to swallow. I know Justin Fuller wasn't looking for a 20th place finish tonight, but yet there's something where he could say he held his head high from a super speedway standpoint. He had him covered. And you know, I said it before, there's something sentimental about seeing someone break such a long winless streak, a veteran of the series who has multiple wins in a drought and able to pick it up no matter how it happens. You have to have some appreciation for the amount of work that Chad Coleman puts in, week out, and getting those hard deserved wins against such a stout field. And what about the racing here? We talked about, Chris, the bedlam that we were going to see tonight. We saw a mix of everything. We saw great racing side by side, long stretch. We were so close to a green flag pit stop, and we saw some mixing up, which is what we come here to see. And at a turn 4 on the final lap, we had no idea who was going to win it, and the start was as entertaining as the race itself.
Agree 100%. And obviously you feel for Fuller, as it's the second race now this year that he's lost being the leader, coming off of, or going into 3 and 4. You think back to the Iowa race earlier this season. So obviously I know he's going to be pretty disappointed about that, and totally understandable. So, but Kev, man, we appreciate it. Let's go get some rest, and we will see you next Monday night. Ready for this? From Watkins Glen.
Ding, ding. That's going to be fun.
Let's turn right and left. How about that? So should be a lot of fun. Appreciate it, bud.
See you, man.
Absolutely. Kevin England, appreciate what he does for us each and every Monday night. And, you know, before I forget, let's go get the standings here updated really quickly, and I could probably get this posted for everybody real quick and let everybody see where we are. But yeah, Watkins Glen coming up next week, that 2.45 mile racetrack, of course, with the bus stop there, and you know, the inner loop, and of course these next gen cars. I have to think back and wonder, have we ran a road race in the next gen? But then I think, yes, we did. We're in Watkins Glen last year, if I remember correctly. So I think we're in for a good race there, and again, going to be a wild card, because you're going to have drivers that are going to bring their respective skills on road courses out to the track here come next Monday night, and that's where you'll see those guys separate themselves. For one night, you'll get a situation. I forget who the driver was in the Xfinity Series on Sundays that went out there and finished second in the race earlier this season, and ended up being his best finish. But here's the point standings. Kevin King leads by 137 now, as he missed tonight's race. Mike Kelly second. Chad Coleman jumps up to the third position with his win. Tyler Dalton fourth. Jose Gonzalez your top 5. And you look down there at the bubble, Randy Yoakum now slides up into 20th by 1 over Robert Friery. Brian Wortman is right there, 7 points back. 8 points back make that. Matt Rodolasso, he missed tonight's race, but he's still eligible. Mark Jorgensen is there. Joey Tatina, all these guys right there within 50 points right now still as we go to Watkins Glen next week. So should be a lot of fun. But otherwise, let's go enjoy the rest of our Monday night. We're back tomorrow night with some more league racing. But next Monday night, Sim500 from the Watkins Glen International Raceway. This isn't just a game, it's iRacing. See ya!
This copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, reused, retransmitted in any form without the authorized written consent of Captain Esports Network. Captain would like to thank all of his loyal fans for your continued support, and he hopes you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The following is a special presentation. From the Captain Esports Network.